Everybody's excited today. There must be some good stuff on the agenda. All right, I call this meeting of the Conroe Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that a quorum of members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 6:03. Right now, we'll turn some time over for our invocation, which will be led by Trustee Datron Williams, and our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Trustee Melissa Duncan.
Thank you. I have my Easter suit on, so y'all get ready for a sermon. Please join me in a word of prayer if you so choose. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather and conduct the business of our school district. Thank you for allowing us to be of service to our community. Father, we thank you for your continuous protection and grace over our families and the school district. We acknowledge that it is you who brought us safely back from this spring break. We pray that you will continue to strengthen our teachers and administrators of this district and grant them the wisdom to make tough decisions that they make daily. Father, we thank you we understand that this work that we have to do is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So grant our teachers the endurance and patience in carrying out their callings to be educators. In closing, honor and glory to you for the blessings that you've given us and those that are yet to come. Amen.
Amen. Please join me for the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Moving on to item 2A, which is special recognition, Forbes America's Best Large Employer 2024, Conroe ISD. Dr. Noel.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I have taken the opportunity on this item to present it myself. There's got to be a few perks. There's one of them. I went ahead and claimed this one. I think for all of us, maybe for the whole world, gratitude is important. And taking the time to slow down and remember to be thankful for all that we've been given, all that we're blessed with, and all of those that make things possible around here. And we have, as a community, we have a lot to be thankful for with our community school district. And you think about a school district and how do you measure success of a school district? I think there's a few key metrics. First and foremost, are kids being successful academically, right? The second measure would be, are kids being successful in the areas in which they're passionate about? The third piece would be, are we being great stewards of taxpayer dollars? And then fourth, does the community support what we're doing, and are they with us? And when you think about the few years that we've had, this year in particular, I just want to share a few of the things that really speak to all four of those items. First and foremost, we saw last month when Dr. Medford presented our annual report how our students are performing academically and how they compare to students from great school districts all across our region. And they are doing a fantastic job being highly successful in the classroom. The second piece of that, we're going to see an example tonight. We see an example lined up, but we get to celebrate every month. You know, we are celebrating kids that are National Merit Scholars or All-State musicians or state champion athletes or academic decathlon, you name it. In every way, we are doing that. When we think about being stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, annually for the last 10 years, we have been in the top 5 of ERG's study that analyze school districts for their academic performance and financial performance. Those are not awards that come easy. Once again, there are times that I think we take things for granted. We have to stop and say, this is not normal. It's not those kids, and I mean this in the most loving way, like y'all are not normal, all right? You are exceptional. These awards are exceptional. to be the first school district to have all of our transparency stars financially, to win awards for our budget annually, to have the second lowest tax rate in the entire Houston area. On the financial side, that's a huge deal. And then you think about the community support, that the community came out and supported our bond. You look at niche awards, which not only include all the data I just talked about, but then community input as well, to be named the best school district in the county, the best place to teach in the county, the best place for student athletes in the county. That's all of that is significant. And when I speak to large groups, either locally or out to other superintendents, people ask the question, how do you do it? What is the formula here that makes all of these things happen? And the answer is really simple. It's impossible to duplicate, but the answer is really simple. We have amazing people that work here every day. It's not about a job for them. It is a passion for them. This place is, it's personal for our people. This is their family. This is, it truly is a calling, as Mr. Williams mentioned in his invocation tonight. And we need to always recognize and appreciate those people. And if we want to continue to be wonderful and great, then we have to continue to create an environment in which people want to work here. So that's why this award tonight to me stands out so much, and why I asked for this opportunity to present it, because this award tonight comes from our people, from this group of people that I have immense respect for and appreciation for the work that they do. But it's the surveys of our employees that put us on a list, employees, past employees, and some community input as well, that put us on the list from Forbes of one of the best large employers in the nation. And I want to give a little more information about this list. We've spent some time on the best employers in the state of Texas list. We've been on the Houston Chronicle's list of best employers in the Houston area. When we received notification that we were going to be recognized on America's Best Large Employers list, I thought, well, that's nice, but I don't really know what that means. They sent us about 3 weeks before it came out, they sent us an email telling us we were going to be on it. The day that it was released, Sarah and I each got the email, and I hadn't seen it yet, but Sarah sent me the list, and she said, have you seen this? And I said, well, no, not yet, but I'll take a look when I can. And she said, you should probably look at it. And so I did, and I noticed that they ranked 600 of the largest employers in the nation. And we're not talking about 600 school districts or educational organizations. These are all companies that have 5,000 or more employees across the nation. And so I honestly, I started looking at the list at like 200. I skipped the first page and went down to like page 7 and started scrolling, and I never found us. And finally, I'm embarrassed to say it took longer than it should have, that I found the search bar at the top so I could type our name in. But we have been ranked number 37 in the nation of all employers, which is amazing. And you absolutely can clap for that. So when you do look at that list, and you can use the QR code there and you can see the list, we're on the first page of the list, all right? And joining us on the first page, so joining Conroe ISD are organizations like St. Jude's, Microsoft, Google, NASA, HEB, everybody loves HEB, right? And Apple, okay? That's great company on page 1 for little old Conroe ISD. All other companies on the list, but below us, are companies like Chevron and Costco and MD Anderson, Dell, Nike, University of Texas at Austin, Tesla, Southwest Airlines, Chick-fil-A. All right. It's their pleasure to be on the list, but they're behind us. United Airlines, ExxonMobil, and even Dr. Pepper, right? So we are an elite company. Only one other school district made the list. And this is one of those things that I think we should never take for granted. When you get a lot of successes, it's easy to add it to the list and just not make a big deal out of it. This deserves to be made a big deal because we do have the best people, and the way we support them and every day makes them want to stay here. And for their sake, what makes their job great is to keep bringing in more great people to surround them, right? That's what makes their jobs easier every day. So with that, I'm going to have a commercial now for our job fair that's on Saturday. So for all those folks that might be watching, or you need to encourage your friends that are in other districts or just entering the teaching field, if they'd like to work in the number 37 Forbes Greatest Employers place, they could come to our job fair on Saturday at Grand Oaks High School from 9 to noon. So we do want to add more folks, but it's because of our people that make this happen, but we as a staff can only achieve at a level in which our board allows us to achieve. That we understand that, okay? It starts at the top, and as leadership, for us as leadership staff, but also for the board, we are cap setters, right? The organization can never elevate beyond what we can do. So the fact that we have reached this pinnacle is a testament to you as a board and where we are and where we want to continue. So we have tonight a plaque that we're going to present, and we were going to have that, but also I would love the opportunity to take a group picture with the board because we have a cool banner. And so we have a banner that we're going to use, but I would just like to take just one more time to take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to our board, and thank you to, I know we have a lot of staff members here that are just amazing. And it's not just us saying that, it's the outside world looking at us and saying that, which is really fulfilling. So thank you all, and congratulations to the whole Conroe ISD community for this award. So thank you. So can we take a picture? All right, picture time. That's going to come over there.
Sorry.
Get everybody. All right, where do you want us? How do you want us? There you go. Wherever here. You can hold that. Okay, in the middle there. Let's not hold the banner upside down. That'd be embarrassing. Keep going. All right, come on. Come on. There you go. Yeah, come in. Come in. Here, go. Get in the middle. We good? Stand sideways? Do we need to move this way, or are we good? Get closer.
Make it hot. There you go.
Talk to us. All right, there we go. Big smile.
This was
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like an Oscar. We're going to get your names engraved on it. There you go. There you go. What a second.
All right. You get to hold it. That's a very awesome accomplishment. Speaking on behalf of the board, certainly appreciate the recognition you give us, but to your point, it really is those out there that are making it happen in all of the meetings and the after hours, before hours, and just the love that you give the students and the community and listening and moving, everything that y'all do. It's impressive. So thank you. Thank you for what y'all do. Appreciate y'all so much. It's very awesome.
And when's the job fair?
Job fair is this Saturday, 9 to noon, Grand Oaks High School. You can register online now, and we would love to see great teachers there.
Perfect.
All right. All right. Moving on to item, we're going to go B through D, which is some really, really neat stuff that we've got, some recognition of our students who, as you said, are not normal, right?
That's right.
In a good way. I'll turn it to him when you're done.
Yeah, in the most beautiful way, not normal.
Yes.
So we're going to start with recognizing our state champions from wrestling. And so we're going to start with College Park, and Dr. Mark Merle is going to come up and make the introduction. We'll hear from our College Park folks, and then we'll move directly into the Woodlands High School wrestler as well.
President Hubert, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Knoll. We're excited to be here this evening to introduce 2 state champions and student athletes. The competitiveness of each of them in the classroom and on the mat shows their drive to be successful in all areas. At this time, it is my honor and privilege to introduce the state champions coach, Eric Spute.
Well, first, I want to thank you guys for having us and recognizing our kids and all their hard work. We truly are blessed to be part of such a great school district. I want to thank Dr. Merle, Coach Coates, College Park administration for all their support. Without them, none of this is possible. And then my 2 assistant coaches, Coach Lindsey Spute and Kenneth Mark. What they do for our program is phenomenal. We're fortunate enough this year to bring home, or have 2 individuals bring home state titles. Both were captains on our team. And both played a major role in leading our team to a third place team finish at the state tournament this year. I want to recognize first Caillou Aaron. And so Caillou won the 126-pound state championship this year. He had a record of 54-1. He was undefeated amongst Texas opponents this year. Caillou's actually ranked 18th in the nation at 126 pounds. And he's a junior, but he's verbally committed to wrestle at California Baptist in the Big 12. But we get Caillou for 1 more year, and we know he's going to accomplish a lot more great things.
Congrats.
And next, I want to recognize Colton O'Borney. Colton won the 157-pound state championship this year. He's a senior for us at College Park. He's had a very successful high school career. He was on the state podium 3 times. He was 6th as a sophomore, 3rd as a junior, and 1st this year as a senior. He broke our school wins record, or career wins record, with 173 wins. 102 of those were by pin. So he's had a very dominant career. And so, we're very thankful for everything he's done for our program. Very, very proud of him. It's been awesome to see him grow and mature these last 4 years, and we're excited to see what the future holds for Colton. Very proud of him. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, yes, sir.
Yeah, Coach, if y'all will just stay right up here. And then Dr. Landry, if you'd come up and make our introduction from the Woodlands High.
Good evening, President Hubert and members of the board, Dr. Knoll. As always, on behalf of the faculty and staff of the Woodlands High School, we'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to recognize these amazing young adults, these student athletes who work so incredibly hard. I have the privilege of being able to introduce a back-to-back state wrestling champion. We were here last year recognizing Riley, and here we are again, who is an amazing young woman who works incredibly hard. And, wrestling is one of those, as these gentlemen, they can attest, is mentally and physically exhausting. And they have to work so hard to stay focused and sharp from both sides, mentally and physically. And she embodies all the dedication and passion that goes into that sport. So it is, we are incredibly proud of her at the Woodlands High School. It is my privilege to be able to introduce the head wrestling coach of the Woodlands High School, Coach Jeff Rayone.
Good evening. It is my privilege to introduce my daughter again. This is Riley Rayone. She is our 114-pound girls state champ back-to-back during the year. She did so with a season record of 54-0, which puts her at 151 wins, right? So that puts her on track to be over 200 wins and get close to the state record for wins her senior year. She also set history at our school as the first female to win 2 state titles. Along with that, she also, during the season, won a national title at the preseason national championships, and with that was ranked #1 in the nation at her weight class. And she did all of this while maintaining straight A's. We're very, very blessed. I'm very, very blessed to get to share my passion with her. On the way here, Mom sent us a video that she started wrestling 10 years ago. To this day was her first wrestling practice. So, thank you for allowing us to be here and recognize her. Thank you.
Sir, absolutely.
If I could just say a few words on behalf of the board. Do y'all know this is my 3rd year to stand up here and recognize the talent, the student athletes, the exceptional students we have here for wrestling. It is the 3rd year. It just goes to show that the quality of this program, the talent here is unmatched, unrivaled. So state champ, that's super cool. That is really cool. But behind that is also, it also represents, your dedication, your enthusiasm, your energy, your grit, your resilience, and not just yours, but also your coaches and your parents get to share in this with you. We are just so incredibly proud of you and happy. And so on behalf of the board, we'd like to say congratulations, state champs.
Yeah, slide over. Awesome. Right. And y'all come back. Yeah. Don't run away. Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3. Good.
That's great. All right, congratulations once again. But we're not done celebrating our Conroe ISD champions, are we? We've got items E through, this is this, I?
Correct.
All right, E
Yes,
through
sir.
I. Have some swimmers in the room, Dr. Knoll.
All right. More Highlanders to be recognized. Dr. Landry, would you come up and make this introduction for us?
Good evening again, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll. I truly am the luckiest guy in this room right now to get to come up here multiple times to recognize student athletes who embody everything that we hope our students put forward. That's just a dream come true for someone like me. But we want to recognize our swimmers and divers and their feats, their state championships. You think of swimming, you think of a compilation of individual sports, which takes individual effort, and a lot of times they're in the water and it's them just with their thoughts. But it is a team competition. And while all these athletes are true individually impressive, I get to see them as a team. And at the state championship meet, you should have seen them. I mean, they laughed together, they cried together, they lifted each other up. We have a relay team state champion, we have a whole girls team state champion, and then we have a diver. But when Jacob was diving, all of them were facing the diving well and cheering him on. It was truly a magical thing to watch them lift each other up and cheer each other on and support each other through this endeavor. And we are incredibly proud of them at the Woodlands High School. It is the girls back-to-back state champions. So, they've been doing it very, very well for a long time. And we are incredibly proud of them. I do want to take a minute because if you, and you guys are fortunate, you get to listen to a lot of coaches and sponsors and directors come up here and they talk about these amazing young people. But those coaches, they are winning a state championship as well. But I challenge you to think of a time when a coach stood up here and said, I, me, or my. They don't do that. But as a principal, I would be remiss if I didn't take a little bit of the very limited time I have to recognize these fine educators who do it day in and day out. They are there putting in the hours, and we are truly blessed. They are our single greatest asset as a school district, as our faculty and staff. And to see them and support them as they help these young people be successful, that's one of the rewarding parts of being a principal. So having said that, it is my absolute privilege and pleasure to introduce you to the head swimming and diving coach for the Woodlands High School, Coach Jeremy Wade.
All right, first off, I just want to thank the board for your service and for this great recognition of these talented athletes. Also want to start out by recognizing a few groups of people who this type of season doesn't happen without them. And first and foremost is our parents in this program. If you're a swim parent here in support of your kiddo, please stand up and be recognized. They make my job so much easier than it has to be. They are truly supportive of every aspect of the program. Their volunteerism, like meets don't happen without them. They're not just supporting their kid, but they're supporting the entire program, and they're second to none, and they're one of the greatest assets for me as a coach. Secondly, we have some awesome coaches in our program. I want to start out by recognizing Coach Witt, our aquatics director and district diving coach. Coach Witt. He works with all the divers in the district and does a phenomenal job of it. The girls were in a very close state meet this year, and without the diving points, we don't win the meet. And so his work directly impacts the outcome of these type of successes. We also have Coach Tom and Coach Miller, assistant swim coaches here. They are very passionate about what they do, not just with the kids in our program, but they're an amazing asset to Conroe ISD in the classroom. They do a great job in teaching kids and coaching kids, and I'm very grateful to have them on my side of the staff. We also have great administrators and support staff, athletic secretaries such as Kim at the natatorium, Carly at the Woodlands High School. A lot of things go on behind the scenes when getting successes like this lined up, and they do a phenomenal job of that. We have great coordinators on our campus. Coach Rapp, Coach Borse are fully supportive of our program. And then at the district level, Coach Ferris, our athletic director, does a phenomenal job of supporting all the programs. I can just see his genuine support every time someone succeeds, and the smile on his face, you can tell that he truly enjoys what he does as well. So thankful for him. And just the entire natatorium staff does a phenomenal job, not just seeing to it that the Woodlands has what we need, but all the districts that share that facility, they're second to none in making sure that everything goes smoothly in those situations. And then last but not least, Dr. Landry is always a great supporter, and we got to get him in the water again this year. The first couple of times, he does a better job of staying afloat now with fully clothed. First couple of times, he kind of stayed towards the edge. Thought I was going to have to help him over. But now he's in the middle of the pool. We had an extended celebration this year with the girls' state championship, and he was right there with us. So all those people, very thankful to have those people in our corner. All right, starting out with some recognition here. We'll start with the boys team. This is another historic season for our boys, district and regional champions. Third at the state meet overall, so very awesome job for the boys team as well. The boys started the meet with the 200 medley relay on fire. This has kind of been a signature event for us for the last few years. In 2021, when the boys won the state title, we set the state record, and this is the very first event for the boys at the state meet. We reset the state record last year, becoming the first to ever break 130, and this year they were a few tenths of a second of re-breaking the school record again, or the state record, sorry, and they were your 2024 state champions. Those four boys I'd like to introduce at this time. Swimming backstroke, who will be swimming for Texas A&M next fall, senior Ryan Rottenbach. I'm going to say senior a lot tonight, and that kind of breaks my heart. This is truly a very talented group of swimmers here before you. Swimming the breaststroke leg of the 200 medley relay, he was a senior as well. He'll be swimming for the University of Michigan next fall, Tyler Tannenberger. Swimming the butterfly leg on the medley relay, junior Wesley Foster. And then our anchor freestyle leg, who will be swimming for Lee University next fall, senior Jackson Lindahl. We had two boys who were individual state champions. The first we've already introduced, Mr. Tylen Tannenberger. He was state champion in the 100 breaststroke and is now our new school record holder in that event. And then our other boy state champion, senior state champion in 1 meter diving, who will be diving for the University of Texas next fall, Mr. Jacob Jones. And I don't know if you know, the state meet is held at the University of Texas, so he put on a show for his future coaches. All three boys' relays made All-American times. We had 9 individual events with All-American consideration. I'm also very proud of our academic accolades. Our boys' varsity team had a team GPA of 3.573, and both Tyler and Jackson were academic All-State and academic All-American. And so now I'll go ahead and head straight into the girls, starting out with our individual state champion, senior Zoe Nordman. She was the 2024 500 freestyle state champion. Yes, 2024 state champion in the 500 free with a new school record. And you're probably pretty familiar with the Nordman name by now. We've had 4 of them come through the Woodlands High School, all excellent girls. And there are 12 events on the girls' side, and the Nordman name is on 9 of 12 events for the Woodlands High School for school records. So awesome job. It's a lot of fun to win relays, win individual events at state, but to win a team title is very special, and to do it back-to-back is very difficult. But this group of girls I'm going to introduce in a second did just that. We didn't win a relay at state, but we had all 3 relays see the podium. The girls' 200 medley relay was state runner-up, as was the 400 free relay, and the 200 free relay was the bronze medal winner. This girls' team had a complete team effort to win the 12th state title for the Woodlands High School girls program. They had several podium finishes, All three achieved All-American times like the boys. They had 15 individual events that qualify for All-American consideration. And so it's going to be my pleasure to introduce the 2024 Girls State Championship team. Freshman, relay alternate, Peyton Kahn. Freshman, relay alternate, Nelly Gugamello. Freshman, 12th in the 200 free, 12th in the 100 fly, relay swimmer, freshman Lily Wiles. Sophomore, 5th in the 50 free, 4th in the 50 free, 4th in the 100 free, and she's also a relay swimmer, Brooke Miller. And sophomore, bronze medal winner in diving, Whitty Malloy. Junior, 16th in the 200 IM, 11th in the 500 free, academic all-state, Michaela Kahn. The next 6 girls I'll be introducing are all seniors. One of them could not be here, but this group of senior girls have won 3 of the last 4 state championships in the state of Texas. So pretty awesome senior class here. Senior relay swimmer, academic all-state, academic all-American, Sophia Cristal. Senior swimming for University of Incarnate Word, relay swimmer, Kaylee Radford. Senior swimming for Purdue University, 10th in the 200 free, 4th in the 500 free, relay swimmer, academic all-state, academic all-American, Caroline Frazier. Senior swimming for Dartmouth College, 100 back silver medal winner, relay swimmer, academic all-state, academic all-American. She could not be here today, Maria Uranga. Senior, 4th in the 200 IM, 100 breaststroke silver medal winner, who she is also our school record holder in that event. She's a relay swimmer, academic all-state, academic all-American, Evelyn Ritterer. And then also senior swimming for Northwestern, 200 free bronze medal winner, your 500 free state champion school record holder, relay swimmer, academic all-state, academic all-American, again, Miss Zoe Nordman. Again, I want to recognize their team GPA. So we had a 21-member varsity roster, and they had an average GPA of 3.794. That's truly incredible. And this right here is truly some of the finest student athletes in Conroe ISD, and a reason why this place is such a great place to work at. Let's give these student athletes one more hand.
Okay, perfect. I'm happy to say it now. As a former Highlander swim mom, I know I don't know exactly because my son was JV, but but he was a water polo player. So, but I know exactly what it's like at 6 a.m. to get up, get down to the pool, and take that cold plunge every morning, Monday through Friday, following that black line of misery. Lots of effort, lots of work. To your parents who have run the meets, who have gone to meets all over the city, all over the state, to sit there for hours and hours on end, hoping that they don't miss your race because they're reading a book or chatting with friends, but cheering you on all the way, cheering your friends, cheering your just regular teammates, praising your coach for all of his hard effort and work that he does to make sure that you guys are prepared and ready to show up. I want to say congratulations because of your wins and because of our wrestler wins. The Woodlands High School has moved up from 5th place to 3rd place in the UIL Cup. So congratulations. As Coach K, that was my coach at the time, he used to say, hammer down but we all agree on go Highlanders. Congratulations.
Y'all gonna turn around and.
Coach Wade, before you leave, I want to see a water polo state championship now too. We gotta add the last segment of swim, dive, and water polo. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Give them a second to clear out. All right, that is exciting. It's always exciting celebrating the students' achievements in whatever it is that they are being successful in. It's really cool, and I know as educators, y'all love to see that as well. So that's really neat to get to be a part of that and celebrate with them. All right, our next item is citizen participation, and we do have some people signed up. During this portion of the meeting, patrons who have signed up in advance may address the board in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, and Board Policy BED. For comments regarding an issue on tonight's posted agenda, the board will defer its discussion of the issue until the item is reached on the agenda. For comments related to the issue that is not on the board's posted agenda, the board cannot deliberate or make a decision related to that issue. We ask the speakers address their comments to the board and not to the audience. If any speaker's comments are regarding a complaint, the board directs you to its policy regarding complaints, which can be found on the district's website. Please be aware that if your purpose in addressing the board is to seek a remedy for your complaint, the board cannot discuss or respond to your concern until you have met the requirements of their appropriate district policy. Each person will be given 2.5 minutes to present their comments to the board. Screens around the room will display the speaker's time. When the countdown timer reaches 0, the next speaker will be called. Mrs. Godfrey, will you please call our first person?
Marianne Horton.
Members of the board, Dr. Knoll. In regard to agenda item 8B, I have a question about the Chromebook rollout from the 2023 bond package. For work I'm doing as a staff wellness chair on the SHAC, I recently requested information about Chromebook counts across the district and learned the Chromebook to student ratios are not the same from campus to campus, and in some instances are quite substantial. For example, Moorhead, Pete, Stockton, and York Junior Highs all have more Chromebooks than students, while teachers at McCullough Junior High are often left scrambling to find enough Chromebooks to even administer district tests. The hunt for Chromebooks is an added burden for teachers at school like McCullough, and one that does not seem fair given the level of Chromebook access at other schools and the number of Chromebooks in the district.
McCullough Junior High parents, like myself, were told the passage of the bond technology item would alleviate the need for our children to rely on cell phones to turn in schoolwork. The teachers are doing a great job of adhering to the new cell phone policy, but we were under the impression McCullough would get more computers with the passage of the bond. Yet when I asked about the rollout of the new computers, I was told the bond item was meant only to replace outdated existing computers. If that is the case, when would a school like McCullough ever catch up when there were less computers to begin with? McCullough has 200 less Chromebooks than students, while down the road at York, there are 220 more Chromebooks than students. Moorhead has an excess of 375 Chromebooks, and Pete has an excess of 518. At the high school level, Grand Oaks is short 100 Chromebooks, while College Park has 1,000 more than the student population. I would like to know if the district has any plans to provide equitable Chromebook access to all of our students and teachers. If the technology item on the bond was only intended to replace old computers, then I think a redistribution would seem an easy and obvious solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexander Harris. Alexander Harris. April Kersey.
Hello, trustees and Dr. Knoll. First, I'd like to thank our teachers and staff for the time, energy, and attention that they pour into our children. We are blessed in CISD, and I enjoy being part of this community. Second, I want to discuss comments made by President Hubert. Last month, you requested that the board rewrite the SHAC bylaws, stating they are way out of whack and need some help to rein that in. I asked you via email to share your specific concerns regarding the bylaws, and you responded, "If the board needs your help, we will let you know." It is disappointing to receive such a dismissive response. As someone who helped update the SHAC bylaws last year, I'm struggling to identify what is causing your concern, since they were updated to better align with Texas Education Code and Texas Department of State Health Services, and we used the exact same process that prior SHACs used. We did nothing new. CISD has had a SHAC for over 15 years and has had bylaws during this time. Prior SHACs have had membership processes and applications. Prior SHACs have communicated recommendations to the board per TEC. Again, nothing new going on. SHAC is currently working on mental health and suicide prevention toolkits, raising awareness of the opioid fentanyl crisis, ensuring adequate recess times, reducing bullying, and others. I can't imagine there is concern over these topics as they're legislated by Texas Education Code and could save a child's life. SHAC is a group of community volunteers serving our students. In addition to education professionals, there are doctors, business owners, engineers, and others volunteering hundreds of hours for free. Rather than concern, why not leverage the volunteers and their expertise, their time, and passion to benefit our students? So what is different now? Why the additional scrutiny on SHAC compared to prior years? The only difference I see is that SHAC is more active and focused on complying with TEC. I can only conclude that some may be trying to silence the SHAC, the voice of parents and the community. I cannot come up with any other logical explanation for rewriting bylaws for a functional, professional, and effective council. SHAC has no legislated authority and structurally is independent from the district, so the council represents the community and avoids potential conflict of interest. I ask each of you tonight when you discuss the bylaws that you have an open mind, discuss the facts, put aside any personal bias, and make decisions in the best interest of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Nelson.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Nell, thanks for the opportunity to be here. My name is Scott Nelson. I offer what I'm about to say in the spirit of making CISD even better. There's a CISD policy, I have it on my phone, but there it is, that seeks to keep pronoun use and gender dysphoria discussions between a student and a teacher private, and requires that such conversations remain confidential, specifically excluding parents. The adoption of this policy puts the district on a slippery slope. An innocent conversation becomes gender choice affirmation, an ideology that is perhaps not shared by the parent. So here's the rest of the path. Gender-affirming conversations become gender-affirming counseling, and then gender-affirming care, all without parental involvement. I watched it unfold while I lived in California, and I'm not about to stand silent while it happens here. Let's be crystal clear about terminology surrounding gender-affirming care and call it what it really is: child mutilation. Look, we don't trust 9-year-olds to vote, drive, drink, smoke, babysit, or even stay home alone. Why on earth would we let them make a choice about gender reassignment without the parents? In my opinion, the wording on that confidentiality policy puts us on that slippery slope witnessed elsewhere. Now, I can hear the opposition already, hater, but that would be ignorant of the facts, and here's why. My Christian faith insists that I judge no one, but rather love others regardless of their choices. Love doesn't mean agreeing to all those choices. If my son makes poor decisions about staying up late at night, I disagree with him. It doesn't mean I love him any less. It means I'm prepared to disagree with him. And to say that I hate my child because we disagree is just stupid. Likewise, to assume I hold some grudge or hatred against the LGBT community is equally stupid. Keeping parents in the dark about discussions is hurtful to the very students whose interests you claim to embrace. Anything policy-wise that is in place or being considered that hides gender confusion from parents is wrong. So trustees, don't be party to this. Undo this misguided policy right now, and don't allow future woke activism to be present in our schools. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bryce Spear.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. President Hubert, at the last board meeting, you stated one of your goals will be for the board to go ahead and write SHAC bylaws because they are way out of whack and they need some help to rein that in. So we will go ahead and rewrite the SHAC bylaws for the board for them to follow. As you know, I emailed you my concern, but you stated you will let me know if you need your help. The intent of the legislature in creation of the School Health Advisory Council was for the parents advice and recommendations, was for the parents to give advice and recommendations to the elected board. How is your taking control over this group achieving that purpose? We are more than happy to work with you and the board in amending any needs on the bylaws. Do you really think that of all the things you could be working on as the president of the board of CISD, that this should be the top of the list? Your goal represents a one-sided approach to create a narrative that is misguided. A school board member would actually think it is appropriate to target volunteer parents and district employees who serve in compliance with Texas Education Code. At best, the SHAC can do nothing more than provide a recommendation on specific matters required of us by the law to the Board of Trustees, to which the board collectively hears and then makes a decision. Your latest maneuver to alter SHAC bylaws displays your lack of respect for parental counsel, as well as your disregard for accountability, which Texas Education Code 28004 has established. This exercise is nothing more than an attempt to silence parents and the community values we represent and bring forth to the SHAC, through the SHAC to the board. The district's counsel, Mrs. Gladys, commended our work on the bylaws. Our bylaws are the infrastructure for how we do business. We are transparent, which is more than I can say for how you have conducted yourself. In previous SHAC years, there was never an issue when the SHAC did the exact same things the current SHAC is doing. It wasn't a problem then because the district had the majority of vote. Now that the parents are the acting majority, as required by law, you say things are out of whack and need to be reined in. Did you need to rein in when we didn't publicly address you stating under your breath to Trustee Wagaman during the cell phone recommendation that the board wasn't going to let 12 people decide your policy, despite the fact that the board eagerly adopted Proclamation 2022 SHAC curriculum recommendation, which was approved by 12 SHAC members, yet that vote was the majority of district employees? Maybe what's out of whack is that the district co-chair appointed by the board largely oversees many of the areas of noncompliance. This is called a conflict of interest. The Shack has many projects going on. We look forward to serving the students of this district and continuing in our tireless service to everyone that is working here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Melissa Semler.
Dr. Knoll, members of the board. Today I'm discussing an assignment that is currently being taught in Conroe ISD. We need to consider the messages we are giving our children in these assignments because these messages frame their views of the world. The assignment I'm discussing is titled Yul Kwon, From Bullying Target to Reality TV Star. Kwon was the child of South Korean immigrants, and he was bullied because he is Asian, and he had a lisp. He says that led him to develop a number of social anxiety disorders, which continued for many years because he did not see many role models from his community. He said Asian Americans are usually portrayed in negative stereotypes on TV, and so he internalized those images. He must have found a good role model at some point, though, because the piece jumps from his difficult childhood to his graduation from Stanford. Kwon went from Stanford to Yale Law School, where he earned a JD and sat on the editorial board of the Yale Law Journal. Then he worked in law, politics, and business prior to becoming an incredibly successful TV personality. But, as you can see from the title, his success is not the focus of this piece. The piece concludes with Kwon noting that even though he's had success, Asian Americans still have a ways to go in achieving equality. Kwon has lived an immensely successful life on multiple fronts, but this article focuses on his trauma and the things that held him back. So my big question is, why? Why must we draw every focus to trauma? Will our students find success by one-upping each other's lived traumas? Will being the most bullied, traumatized student be what carries them on the laurels of victory to Yale Law School? I think we all know the answer to this question, so why are we teaching them this? Kwon is a Yale Law School graduate. Maybe we should focus on how he got to Stanford and then Yale, on the grit and determination it takes to capture that type of success. Let's stop focusing on what holds us back and focus on developing the qualities people need to move forward and lead successful lives. Grit, determination, and focus are far more important qualities than identifying trauma. Adolescent mental health has been in steady decline for years, and so have test scores. So why are we teaching students to focus on trauma? It's obviously not creating healthier kids, and it certainly isn't creating more educated ones. So can we please start focusing on resilience, critical thinking, and determination instead of trauma? Thank you.
Carolyn Naney. Carolyn Naney.
Good evening. How are y'all?
We're good.
Good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There is a book in CISD school system that is titled, This Is Our Rainbow. Due to the concerns about this book, I decided to do an investigation. It was found at Veterans Memorial Intermediate. So I did an extended search of all the intermediate, junior high, and high schools. To my surprise, none of the other schools have this book. Usually when we do searches like this, we find inappropriate books throughout the entire CISD system. Here is a summary of the concerns. Alternate sexualities, inexplicit sexual activities, inexplicit sexual nudity, mild profanity, alternate gender ideologies, controversial social and racial commentary. Then there is the Marxist ideology of exposure to cognitive bias, grooming the kids to the ideas it wants them to be comfortable with, such as transgenderism, pronouns, patriarchy, cultural inappropriation, and privilege, to name a few. They are destroying the gender binary and abolishing the family unit. There is much more I could bring to your attention, but I am limited for time. This book has been given a content rating of 2 for teen guidance. In other words, it is not appropriate for kids under the age of 13. Last time I checked, the ages of kids in intermediate school is 11 and 12. I am requesting the board member to contact the school librarian and have the book removed immediately. And just to know, I will follow up on this. In closing, all of you here in this room saw a grassroots movement in our primary elections. Many races were won and people were removed from their state and local positions. We, the people, are speaking out and letting all of you know enough is enough. And you can be assured that also this includes CISD school board members, which will come up for re-election in November. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa Neiman.
I am dismayed that the district worked so quickly to send the banned books to auction. 7 pallets of books, wrapped in discarded books from the library. I guess the district and board didn't want any copies available, just in case the district adopts a formal challenge process to books removed by internal review. I commend the November book policy. It's golden. The book policy mentions 3 times that a work should be pulled for sexually explicit phrases if it has no literary or artistic merit, but every reference includes that conditional. It included the PICO decision and the penal code that states using materials with both literary merit and sexually explicit phrases for educational purposes is an affirmative defense. A judge will throw out any charges. Ever wonder why the DA hasn't shown up here? However, I don't understand the Internal Review Committee's incomprehensible application of this policy. Absolutely no concept of literary or artistic merit. Gird your loins. Kite Runner, banned a year ago, even before the new policy. Here's the titillating sexually explicit phrase, buttocks. Yep, just like Forrest Gump, buttocks. And the bully unzips his pants. Maybe the IRC thought it was sodomy, but what occurs is violence based on power, not sexual desire. The rest of the novel teaches readers the guilt that occurs when an individual doesn't step in to stop violence. Really, don't we want to encourage each other to defend the weak and stand up to bullies? Maybe Shaq should consider Kite Runner.
Thank you.
Audrey Warner.
Good evening. A little over a month ago, I sent all of you an email with a simple true or false question. Unfortunately, there was not one response regarding my question. It was a simple question. Is there a biological male dressing in women's clothing at Snyder Elementary? I have since found out that it is true, and I know that there was another circumstance of the same situation at Giesinger Elementary. Then my concern becomes how many other schools have the same problem. I requested in my email that there be wording placed into district policy that biological men are not allowed to dress like women. And the opposite needs to be true of policy, biological women shouldn't be dressing like men. I've had discussions with other parents and community members, and the question arises that if parents aren't happy, then remove the child. Well, that's not easily done. Their tax dollars are tied up in the public schools, and not every family can add the extra cost of a private school, and very few families can homeschool. If more families could do this, they would. There is no school choice. Dress codes and dress requirements are put into place all of the time. It's time that Conroe ISD address this issue. There seems to be a dislike for the term indoctrination. even though the confusion of men dressing as women is just that. Another word that seems to be set the world on fire is grooming. And causing a young person to feel uncomfortable with such foolishness is a tool of grooming. I would change wording then to say influence or brainwashing. And drag dressing in the classroom is teaching children to believe a lie for the truth, and it's wrong. And you need to draw a line in the sand. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it? All right. Very good. Thank you for all of those that participated. I encourage those who spoke about agenda items to hang around for that agenda item.
Mr. Hubert, if I may,
Yes,
just one
please.
point of clarification. I'm not sure if Mr. Nelson's still here. I'll be happy to visit with you. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I can't see it. I'll be happy to visit with you at the break. I just want to make you aware that we're in agreement with you. There is no such policy in Conroe ISD. There is no procedure or practice in Conroe ISD. In fact, we have trained our assistant principals, counselors on exactly the opposite of what you spoke to, what you would want, that we would include parents. So I'll be happy to visit with you, but I just want to make sure that you knew that.
I'll share that policy picture. It's a photograph of those slides.
Yeah, that was from like 4 years ago, and we addressed it when it happened. Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Thank you for that clarification. And I on behalf of the board, I did respond to Ms. Warner when she sent that email. We actually had an email conversation back and forth, so another point of correction. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. I have heard from one member to pull item C from the consent agenda, so.
Motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of the one item you pulled.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good, motion carries. All right, moving to consent agenda item C, receive human resource report and consider and approve employment of professional personnel. Ms. Oldenweller asked to pull that. I'd turn the time over to you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, I did ask that because I, as a taxpayer and constituent in the district, I wasn't aware that as a district we did a rolling 2-year contract on the contracts for a lot of employees, especially the administrative level. And I just, after speaking with Dr. Knoll and getting and talking with other trustees in other districts, I've come to understand that there are those that do it, those that don't. And I just didn't end up saying, go ahead and put it back on, because I thought maybe someone else might be wondering the same question. So I didn't put it back on to consent agenda after doing that at this time. That was the only reason why I didn't do it. We got the discussion on it.
Yeah, so I'll just add clarity for everybody as part of our conversation. So coordinator level and up, we have a 2-year rolling contract for those administrators. The purpose of that is A, to recruit, B, to retain the highest level of folks in leadership positions, as well as just to provide that stability. One of the points I would make about any of our educator contracts, they're all considered Chapter 21 or term contracts. So they have protections, even if it's a 1-year or a 2-year, that kind of automatically rolls over unless you take an affirmative action to end that contract. So that applies to our teachers as well. And if I just messed that up, Ms. Gladys is going to correct me, but I think that's accurate, right? So, yeah, and we also did survey based on the conversation. It's a common practice for the leadership positions to do the 2-year rolling as well. It's been our practice for a long time, but we did also look just to see other districts to make sure we were in line, and it's a very common practice. So.
In addition, Dr. Knoll, sorry, my mic's really loud tonight. When we were discussing it, and when I said I didn't understand about the contracts, and that's one of the reasons why I asked about the contracts, because it was like, how can we be in 2 contracts at once? Does one terminate the other one, and so on and so forth? It did make me question, though, because one of the reasons that was given to me was it gives us the opportunity to get another year of working with a principal or an assistant principal or an administrative level person. But we don't have a rolling 2-year contract for our teachers. And so it's once again signaling to them that, or implying to them that they're less than. So, but I mean, that was just one of the things that, as I was reviewing it and looking at it, that did give me some concern, so.
Yeah, and true enough, we could consider that if that's something in the future the board wanted to consider. In our surveys, no other districts had that as an option, and I don't know if some of that is based on volume. You know, you're talking 4,000, 4,500 compared to 100. I don't know if that's a piece of that as well. But once again, teachers they do have quite a bit of protections in their one-year term because it is a protected contract. You know, they have rights, and Ms. Gladys could probably, I know we've had different conversations, but, there has to be reasons once they reach that term contract. It's not like an at-will position where we can just not renew you the next year for no reason. We have to have cause at any time to non-renew them.
No, that's exactly right. There's, your board policies address the reasons for which a term contract can be ended.
I do have a question on that then. If we were to put teachers under a 2-year contract, would that mean that they couldn't leave us for 2 years? If you break your contract, it's my understanding that you can't go to another district.
It would put them,
So it
potentially, I
hinders
guess
their
it could.
flexibility.
It could hinder that. Now, we typically try to be accommodating to people and let them out. We don't want to stand in the way, especially folks that are advancing their career. There's a window early on where you can resign. It's typically into the summer when that conflict occurs. There are pluses and minuses of both, I would tell you. Like, even if we
There's no plus to a teacher getting a 2-year
No,
contract.
no. Oh, no, I'm saying even like on the administrator side, like we said we wanted to go to 1 year, like could there be arguments of why some people do that? Sure, I think you could argue either side of that. We've always done too. It's served us well. It works for us. Once again, in the future, if we looked at it, I would recommend right now to not change that because, when HISD is on the front page of the paper every day talking about firing 100 and something principals, I don't think we want to send any message to our principals that we're doing anything with their contracts and getting everybody nervous. But in the future, if that's something we want to look at, once again, they have protections rolling forward each year. But yeah, it was a good conversation. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that, because hypothetically speaking, if that list that we're given every year to stamp, if there is someone of concern on that list that the board might not consider renewing, I feel like we need that opportunity to review that process and maybe talk privately before taking a vote to just rubber stamp.
So you're always welcome to call me on that. I think part of that is understanding.
No, sir.
My role in the position is to run the day-to-day operations and hire the employees. That's statutorily, it's my job. Additionally, to just choose to non-renew someone without cause would put the district in a legal peril, because if we don't have cause to non-renew someone, they would have rights to come and take action against the district.
So in that event, if you were made aware of hesitations by a board a year prior, would that be taken into consideration when you put
Yeah,
together this
if the
list?
board expresses job performance concerns with an employee, then we would take, it's not just an action that's taken at contract time, it's a performance issue that's addressed all
Throughout the
year
year,
long.
right.
And then if it's not rectified, then it could show up at that point. But that'd be a process of, could be a growth plan, could be all the things that would be associated with that along the way.
So are you suggesting, Ms. Dungan, that this board helicopter and be in the classroom of every single teacher, evaluating them prior to the renewal of their contract, so that a board member could pull them out for an opinion of somebody that doesn't work with them on the day-to-day basis?
Not at all, not at all. I just want to avoid putting the district in a compromising situation. If there were changes within a single year and we needed to replace an administrator, then we have to pay out that second year.
Yeah, so if
Again,
we-
though, that's Dr. Knoll's job.
But I'm talking about the
Yeah.
best interest of the district.
But let me give clarity to that. I hear that concern, I understand that. Even if an employee has a 2-year contract, if if there is an actionable item where they could be terminated for cause, then we can do that even within the 2-year period. So there's, in your policy, and once again, correct me, Ms. Gladys, if I'm wrong, but if let's say there's a violation that could cause them to be terminated, even if they had another year on their contract, they would be terminated instantly. That would come to you. I would make the recommendation for you all to terminate. You accept that. They're terminated at that moment. There's no payout.
But if there wasn't, say it wasn't necessarily performance-based, and this is just a rare instance, by putting
Well, even if
a
it's
2-year contract
let's say if it was
approval.
outside an ethical issue,
Well, I think if I understand what you're asking, Ms. Duncan, is if it's not a serious issue, abuse or something such as that, then we would have to look at board policy, your board policy that sets out the 36 or so reasons to non-renew a contract at the end of its term, and have documentation to support those. That's one of the state law requires that teachers work under 3 types of contract, either probationary, and that's limited to, new people to the district, or a term contract. One of those two. We're not a continuing contract district. That's another kind that's, I don't hardly anybody uses continuing because they just go on forever and ever, and it's very impossible almost to get rid of anyone on a continuing contract. So you either have to work as a teacher under a probationary or a term contract.
But those can all be 1 year, just like they could be 2 years.
They could be, yes, indeed, yes. They
So my preference would be to move to a 1 year. Thank you.
Let me make sure we understand. The school board has no authority to hire, fire any teacher.
Correct.
Not at all, nor do we want it. All right, I've been serving on this board for going on 12 years. It's never come across this board's desk. It's solely the responsibility of the superintendent to make those recommendations. Now, we either support those recommendations or we don't. But if we're not supporting the recommendations the superintendent is making, we're in fact not supporting the superintendent in order for him to be successful in running the school district. And start getting outside of our bounds, we run into very dangerous territory. That's the
Again,
last thing we want to do.
just
So we're not
talking
going
about the
to
district.
arbitrarily look at a list and decide we want to have personal agendas or go on a witch hunt and strike teachers from that or give them some sense of uncertainty relative to their position. 2-year contracts, my wife's been teaching 20-some years, right? What's the point of you giving her a 2-year contract?
What's the point of
Folks
not?
want options. If I got a 1-year contract, I'm assuming I'll be hired next year. Unless I do something egregious that justifies you not taking, or you not considering me for reemployment. Outside of that, teachers in their profession will be hired on a continuous basis. I have not seen otherwise, unless they're doing something performance-wise or ethical or whatever the situation may be that justifies that. That's the only way we've ever entertained something of that magnitude. Let's move on.
I think we should entertain increasing their contracts to 2 years.
Thank you. I motion we accept item number C on the agenda as presented.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? The one thing I'd like to say is I thought I heard you use the term rubber stamp. I just wanted to give you an opportunity. That has a negative connotation. Did you mean to imply that we rubber stamp
I mean by
this
putting
stuff?
it in the consent agenda without discussion. That's why we pulled it out, to have this discussion. And I would hate to see something end up in our consent agenda that we don't openly discuss concerns as a board, so that the public understands where we're coming from.
We don't discuss HR personnel issues in open session.
We don't do that.
We don't, we would do that. I'm
Let's take the
talking
vote.
just this vote particularly, by pulling it out, we were able to discuss it, so I'm glad that we were able to publicly have this conversation.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to make it sound like we were rubber stamping anything.
It's neither here nor
Call
there.
it, it's terminology.
Let's take the vote.
The words matter. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 5A, which is name principal for Milam Elementary.
All right, so this is that exciting time of year, right? Kind of new beginnings, and you're going to see our folks kind of streaming in here, and so I'm going to just say a few words as they come in. We had an overflow room just to make sure we had enough room this evening with all our state champion winners. So as they're joining us, it's that time of year where it's exciting. We get to celebrate people that are having opportunities to move into new positions, also those that are moving on and into retirement and other opportunities, and that creates these vacancies for principal positions. And so we We're excited tonight to have the opportunity to name 5 principals. So this is a big evening for us, and you can see all the lovely folks that are here with them to celebrate, and we look forward to that. I want to swing back to the comment I made during the Forbes conversation about how do we do this, and this place is special because we have folks that it's not a job here, it's different, it's passion, it's family. And to make that point, I'll just tell you, of the 5 people that we are going to recommend to you tonight, these 5 people combined have 109 years of service in Conroe ISD. So we're going to start off with our new principal for Milam Elementary. Once again, just a lady that has had a remarkable career in Conroe ISD, serving in multiple feeder zones throughout the school district. Been very successful in the Caney Creek feeder, but then moved to learn and get new experiences. Took that extra step. Has done time as a summer school principal very successfully. Teachers rave about her work as a summer school principal, and she has gone through all the processes that we've put in place to prepare her to be a principal. And I believe this is an opportunity, if I remember correctly, for her to go home where she started her teaching career in Conroe ISD at Milam Elementary. So I'm proud to recommend tonight Mrs. Ryan Stepp to be the principal at Milam Elementary.
All right. Whoop, hold on. All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
One second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, now you can applaud. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Hi, good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. I am deeply honored and so grateful for this amazing opportunity. 23 years ago, I walked through the doors of Milam Elementary for my first teaching position in Conroe ISD. Deanna Martin believed in me and hired me as a 4th grade teacher. What an amazing leader she was. That was just the beginning of all the great leaders that I have learned from throughout my years in Conroe ISD. I am grateful to Dr. Winkler, Mrs. Garrison, Dr. Upshaw, Dr. Taylor, and Mrs. Ralston for their mentorship, unwavering support and guidance. All of your kind words and encouragement over the years have meant so much to me, and I'm truly appreciative for guiding me to where I am today. I would like to also thank my family and friends for all their love and support. My daughter Savannah, who is watching online tonight, graduated from Caney Creek, went on to graduate college, and is now living in Salt Lake City working in pharmaceutical marketing. My other daughter, Skylar, who attends the University of Texas at Austin, is here tonight, along with my brother Scott, his wife Liza, and my sister Jessie. I would like to thank my daughters for their unconditional love, patience, understanding, and support. My heartfelt thanks to my brother, his wife, my sister, and her husband for always holding me to a high standard and believing in me. Thank you to my friends who have been my rocks over the years. I truly thank you. Thank you to my Patterson Pumas, who will always have a special place in my heart. The expectations you have from me and yourselves have been truly inspiring, and you are some of the very best educators in the field. And to the Milam Mustangs, I am deeply honored to come back to Panther Nation to serve the students, teachers, and community. I know I have incredible shoes to fill. I look forward to continuing the amazing work that has been led by Dr. Gorman. I am fully committed to carrying out the vision of academic excellence, strong traditions, and the culture of collaboration and family. After serving in the Caney Creek feeder for 20 years, I feel like I'm coming home, and I'm truly grateful and honored to serve as principal at Milam Elementary.
awesome. Congratulations once again. Oh, you do a great job. All right, Dr. Knoll, you've got a few more to go.
Okay. All right, we're going to move next to Stewart Elementary, and I want to recognize Dr. Julie English. I believe she's here tonight. She is going to be retiring. She's been our principal there at Stewart, done an amazing job. So I didn't get nervous about this one until right when we started. I looked down at the name again and I went, oh my gosh, our board president's grandson goes to the school that we just moved. We're moving the principal from. So I'm sorry, Grandpappy, or I'm not sure what the grandpa name is, but I'm sorry for this. But Granddaddy. All right, sorry, Granddaddy, over there for this. But Kristen Belcher has been our principal at Lamar Elementary since 2019 and has done an amazing job. It's a very successful school. It takes on a lot of different programs. She's well versed in all of our programming in Conroe ISD and has just proven herself to be an exceptional leader in Conroe ISD. And I think that you learn every day as a principal. You will continue to learn. You could do it for 40 years. You'd learn every day. But Ms. Belcher has really proven that pre-K to 4 model, she's learned so much. And I think she's ready for a new challenge, and to go to a K-6 campus adds that additional challenge as you learn to work with 5th and 6th graders, and making a move now to the Conroe feeder will be a new feeder for her to have experience with as well, which I think I think she's excited about. I know that they are very excited to have her joining them as well. So I would like to make the recommendation of Ms. Kristen Belcher to become the new principal of Stewart.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
A motion, and do we have a
Second.
second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Belcher.
Adjust that a little bit. All right, good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. I stand before you tonight feeling honored and completely grateful. Honored you have entrusted me to lead Stewart Elementary, honored to continue to serve in this great district, and honored to expand my leadership across feeder zones. I am truly grateful for this opportunity and for your continued trust. I am grateful for the experience I've had and grateful for all the many relationships and memories I will take along with me from the College Park and Oak Ridge feeder zones. I would like to express my appreciation to Dr. Julie English for her commitment to Stewart. She's made a lasting impression and one no one will forget. Thank you for striving for success and for setting the bar high. To Dr. Jean Stewart, thank you for your mentorship when I was just a brand new administrator. Your knowledge and insight have been invaluable throughout the years. I am beyond thrilled to be serving at your namesake, and it truly is an honor. I would not be the leader I am today without the wonderful mentors and educators around me. Dr. Shelley Winkler, Miss Lisa Garrison, Dr. Tara Vandemark, and Miss J.J. Dahl. Thank you for your guidance and for investing in me each step of the way. I would like to express my gratitude to my wonderful family and unwavering support system, to my husband, Zach, for always being there for me. I admire your leadership, your compassion, and your faith. To my daughter, Addison, for always reminding me to work hard and be kind. To my son, Chance, who reminds me to seek joy and be present in the moment. And to my sweet angel, Parker, for teaching me there's always a greater purpose in this life. I would also like to thank my parents who are here with me this evening. My mom, Cindy Abernathy, for always being my biggest cheerleader. Her dedication to children over the past 35 years has shown me how impactful our work truly is. And to my dad, Donald Abernathy, thank you for modeling what it looks like to sacrifice and to pour into others. You have taught me that success is not measured by our achievements, but by the lives that we bless. I cannot go without giving a special shout out to my Lamar family. Thank you for allowing me to work alongside each of you for the past 7 years. Your dedication and commitment to students and best practices is unwavering. You always will have a special place in my heart. Once a leopard, always a leopard. And thank you again for this opportunity. I look forward to serving the staff, the students, the community of Stewart Elementary, and the Conroe High Feeder. I am committed to growing Mustangs into future leaders and into successful Tigers. Thank you.
Okay. That's okay. You're going to have to tell Leo, not me. No, very excited for y'all. Congratulations to your family. That's really cool. Okay, Dr. Knoll, item C was
All right.
Travis Intermediate.
Travis Intermediate. Once again, Sharita Smith, we know, is moving on to Bartlett Elementary to open that school. That's what opened this vacancy at Travis. And this is a really special opportunity tonight to name a principal at Travis. One of the things that we talk about through our leadership development programs is sometimes we need our people to get uncomfortable for a moment, or to move out of their level of comfort to go and help themselves to learn and grow more. So, tonight we're bringing somebody home to Travis who spent a lot of years there, but took advice and listened and took a giant leap to make a change and actually leave Travis so that she could go learn more and learn on the elementary level of what those Travis students look like when they're in pre-K through 4th grade, so that she would be better prepared to be the principal of the 5th and 6th grade. And that was a giant leap. And she did that with faith. And once again, going through all the programs, doing all the summer school, she's done everything right to prepare herself to be a principal. And this one's really special for me because this is a family that the older 2 students I had the privilege of being the principal for as they went through Pete Junior High and Conroe High. And then the younger 2 also are Conroe High graduates that graduated the same class with my daughter, so I've known them and watched them grow up. So we talk about going to the Conroe High Feeder, and it's one of those kind of tight-knit families. But it didn't just start when she started working in the Conroe Feeder and sending her children there. She's a Conroe graduate along with her family. And so this is truly bringing a Tiger home to the Conroe Feeder, and I could not be more excited to make the recommendation of Pam Britton to become our principal at Travis.
All right. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Very good. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. It's an honor and a privilege to serve the families, students, and staff of Conroe ISD. I was born in Conroe and have lived here my whole life. I am a product of Conroe ISD and the proud graduate of Conroe High School, as well as all 4 of my children, products of Conroe ISD and proud graduates of Conroe High School, and doing all very well in their adult lives. This district has given so much to me and my family over the years, and I'm so thankful to be able to continue to serve our amazing community. Being an educator is all I've ever wanted to do. So if you will, picture a young girl sitting in her room with her dolls spread all over the floor, a little chalkboard on a stand with all different colors of chalk, and books everywhere. You see, as a child, I played school almost every day with my dolls. I was the cafeteria worker and made food for them. I was the teacher teaching my dolls how to read. I was the principal when the teacher needed some help. And then I was the bus driver. I hopped on my big wheel and went down my street around my cul-de-sac, stopping at every mailbox, letting the children off for the day. My love for teaching and learning has been with me for as long as I can remember. So when the school year began in 1974, I walked into my kindergarten classroom in Conroe ISD with complete excitement to meet all of my teachers and classmates full of hopes and dreams. This is when my love for this district began, and today one of my dreams is coming true. During my 30 years in this district, I've had the privilege of working with amazing leaders and friends who epitomize everything that I strive to be as an educator. I want to thank them for believing in me and helping me to continue to grow in my capacity as a leader. I also want to thank my family. The job of an educator doesn't stop at the end of the school day or only happen between Monday through Friday. My family has supported me throughout my career and spent many extra hours with me at my schools, helping me with things for my students and my staff. With me here today is my high school sweetheart, my husband of 36 years, Richard, my oldest daughter, Bethany, my youngest son, and one of my twins, Zachary. I also have my brother, Jason, his wife, Jennifer, and my mom, Evelyn, here with me tonight. My oldest son, Jared, his wife, Ann Claire, and my youngest daughter, the other twin, Haley, were not able to make it here tonight, but I know that they are supporting me and they're watching online as we speak. Travis Intermediate is a place near and dear to my heart. Not only was it the campus where I first became an assistant principal, but there are also some fun facts concerning the building when it was known as Travis Junior High School in our district. My mother actually worked in this school district many years ago and was the secretary for Mr. J.T. Montgomery, who was a principal of Travis Junior High School. Also, as a 7th and 8th grade student myself, I attended Travis when it was a junior high school, and it was on that campus, the campus I'm returning to, that I first met my husband. And well, the rest became history. So again, it's going to get me. Thank you for this opportunity. I am humbled and honored to be standing before you tonight as the next principal of Travis Intermediate School.
That was a great story.
No, I'll never forget the big wheel.
You would say that. Dr. Smith over
Dr.
there.
Smith's here, in case y'all didn't know.
Just in case you didn't know. Proud of her Tigers. Okay. Dr. Knoll, moving on to item D, which is our McCullough Junior High.
All right. Once again, want to recognize a great educator that's retiring this year, Ms. Jill Hauser, been our principal at McCullough. Is Jill here? She is here, back there. Congratulations. Y'all may have seen the Courier article in the last couple of weeks was talking about growth, and one of the neat things, Jill has a story a little bit like Pam's in that she was a student the first year McCullough opened at McCullough, so she went home to McCullough. So it's been a really special place to her. I know it's hard to leave because she is a Highlander through and through, but we appreciate the work that she's done. And so it's a difficult task to hire a new principal at McCullough. It's a big school with outstanding performance and high expectations, and so we need a leader there that is up to that task. And once again, we looked internally at one of our seated current principals to make a move. And when you look at the success of Wilkerson Intermediate, it is a school that has really been on a very steep trajectory up, not only academically, but with the culture and just everything about that school. And Mr. Josh Hughes, as the principal there, has been an integral part of building a team that has led to great success. And so that is something that we know that he can replicate at McCullough, to build that team, because it's going to it takes a team at McCullough, a school that large, to be successful. And he has all the attributes to make sure that happens. And so I'm proud tonight to make the recommendation of Mr. Joshua Hughes to be our new principal of McCullough Junior High.
All right, we might. All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, the motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Hughes.
President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, thank you for this incredible honor and opportunity in recommending me for principal of McCullough Junior High. Throughout my career in CISD, I've been fortunate enough to have some incredible leaders who have believed in me and supported me along the way. I would not be here at this podium today without their guidance and encouragement. Mr. Ken Sharples, Dr. Tara Vandermark, thank you for modeling what a true leader and administrator should be. Education is my second career, and starting in CISD as a paraprofessional and then a teacher, both of you were the best examples anyone could hope for on how to be a great campus leader and a support to your staff and students. Ms. J.J. Daw, thank you for providing me with my entry into administration as an assistant principal at Wilkerson. You showed me how to approach any situation, no matter how daunting, with calmness and class. Dr. Carlton Todd, following you at Wilkerson, thank you for teaching me that a fun, positive energy can move mountains and be contagious to the staff, students, and community. You showed me how fun this job can be and that the experience is just as important as the outcome. I'd also like to thank the numerous district leaders who are in attendance here tonight who have mentored me and supported me along my leadership journey. Dr. Knoll, Dr. Medford, Dr. Winkler, Dr. Hines, Dr. Taylor, Dr. Upshaw, Dr. Stickler, Hartwell Brown, Jeff Fuller, the list goes on, like a who's who in leadership skills. It's amazing. So thank you all. I really do appreciate all of y'all's support through this journey. I'd like to thank, most importantly, the most important people in my life, my family, my wife, my son, to my parents, Jack and Lynn Fields, and sisters Jordan and Lexi, who are on the live stream. Hey, y'all. Hey, guys. Thank you. Thank you for always believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself, and teaching me that hard work and dedication can overcome any obstacle. To my wife, Angela, my son, Jackson, thank you for being my, I'm telling you, I'm going to make it. Thank you for being my consistent true north in this sea of life. I would not be where I am today without your constant encouragement and support. Thank you, and I love you. To my Wilkerson Wildcat family, thank you for being such an amazing staff, students, and community. You accepted me with open arms and inspired me every day to be the best leader and educator I could be. I look forward to seeing the places y'all will go in the future. Finally, to my McCullough Highlanders, I can't wait to get to know you, get started on our journey together. I am truly honored to be able to lead such an amazing campus, and I look forward to working with you and continuing the sustained success and traditions at McCullough Junior High. Go Highlanders.
He's got to go. He's got to
Go. All right. As Ms. Wagman touched on, he's already got the tie ready to go. It's the perfect time. All right. Dr. Knoll, our final one for this evening. I'm
Yes,
sure there'll
sir.
be more in the future, but here we go for naming of our Woodlands ninth grade campus.
Yeah, continuing on the Highlander theme here with our final two, we move now to the Woodlands High School ninth grade campus. And this is an opportunity, once again, we talk about the people that are so dedicated to this place and this district, but this is a man that's not only just dedicated to this district, but is a staple and a legend and a benchmark in the Woodlands High School feeder. He is known by everyone. He's respected by everyone. I shared this story with him when we had an opportunity to visit during his interview. I just want to share it with all of you. Dennis Meisler and I worked on the McCullough campus of the Woodlands High School during my first year as a teacher in the year 2000. Okay, it was at that point it was a 9th and 10th grade campus, and I can remember going in and speaking to the principal at one point, was talking about future administrators in the building and great teachers in the building. And I lived in kind of my own world, and it's a big place. You didn't always meet and see everybody. But I remembered that principal, Mr. Bob Atterbury, a great man, told me that day, he said, we have a rock star teacher here by the name of Dennis Meisler, and he's a guy you should watch because he does it the right way. And that has stuck with me from that day 24 years ago, and I've admired Dennis since that day because I respected Mr. Atterbury, and I hadn't met Dennis yet, but if he said that he was that kind of guy, and that I've had the chance now to work with Dennis and know him over the years, well, he was dead on. And Mr. Meisler has worked since 1998 at the Woodlands High School in some capacity, in all its different configurations, and served as summer school principal, done all the things for us, and the time is now right in his life to apply to be a principal, and it's the perfect fit to move to the 9th grade campus because he knows exactly what's going to be expected of those Highlanders when they move over to the senior campus. So proud tonight to recommend Dennis Meisler as the next principal of the Woodlands 9.
All right, very good. Do we have a motion?
It's my honor to move this forward.
All right.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll tell you this, my son is going to be extremely elated. He asked me this morning, he said, Dad, we getting a new principal? I said, yes, I'm going to take the role. So
It's an upgrade. Y'all please vote for this one. Please.
Yep, I'll be able to share this with Kyle as well, so
so
they'll
good
both
stuff.
be excited. Anyway, all right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Meisler.
Thank you. Don't know how to follow that, but thank you.
Yes, sir.
It means a lot to me. President Huber, members of the board, Dr. Null, I'd like to thank you for this immense opportunity to become the principal of the Woodlands 9th grade campus. I'd like to introduce my family that's here with me this time. My mother, Ruth Berry, who went to her share of parent conferences when I was in school, which made I have such great insight. And my father, Charles Berry. I'd like to recognize my daughter, Erin Meisler, who is a Highlander.
All right.
And my daughter, Catherine Meisler, who is watching online at Texas State. She's also a Highlander. And I'd also like to recognize my better half, Barbara Outlaw, who's here with us tonight. I'd like to thank my mentors, Dr. Landry, and all of his TED Talks that we would have.
That's pretty
And
good.
I'd also like to recognize my lifelong mentors, Mr. Greg Colshin, Chuck Pinkham, and Miss Denise Sapola as well, along with the, like Josh said, just the list of people that are willing to help and get everybody right, and that's why we continue to stay in this district, and you have such years of experience with this group right now. It's with great excitement and pride I look forward to using my 27 years, or the end of this year, 27 years in Conroe ISD and the Woodlands community to work with the faculty, staff, parents, and students to create a strong foundation for freshmen entering high school. It's very critical. Through collaborating with McCullough and with the Woodlands High School Senior Campus, we'll provide a platform for students of the Woodlands High School to build and continue the tradition of excellence that is the Woodlands High School. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. All right.
That Forbes award is nice, but what is even nicer is seeing
The
people
why?
stay. Yes.
That's it.
And
That's
people
why.
staying in this district and just, it was a great moment.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Congratulations to all of our new principals. At this time, I'd like for us to take about a 5-minute break. Again. ready? Okay. I know it. All right, thank you for that 5-minute break. All right, we're moving on to item 6A, which is consider and approve campus mascot for Janet K. Bartlett Elementary.
Okay, Dr. Shelley Winkler.
I'm going to let the happiness continue after all of that.
Cuteness now.
Cuteness, yes. President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Last month, we came to you with information regarding Janet K. Bartlett Elementary School. We shared with you that our new principal is Sharita Smith, and Mrs. Smith is here with us tonight, so I would like to introduce her to you. Ms. Smith, if you would stand up and be recognized. And Ms. Smith will perform her first official duty as the Bartlett principal on Saturday at our job fair at Grand Oaks High School from 9 to 12. So we are so excited. We also brought you information about the color selection at Bartlett Elementary, which is maroon and gray. These colors mirror Stockton Junior High, and these two schools really are charting the course for our new feeder zone in Conroe ISD, so we're very excited about that. We also brought to you information about the top nominations for the school mascot. Students and families were allowed to make nominations, and those top nominations were the Bears, the Bobcats, and the Bucks. The students and families were then sent out additional surveys twice, and they were able to vote on their favorite mascot. They were able to select their first, second, and third choice. There were 257 votes out of the 900 students that will be going to Bartlett Elementary, and they selected the Bobcats. So, if there are no questions, I ask that you approve the Bartlett Bobcats as the mascot for Janet K. Bartlett Elementary School.
All right, do we have a motion?
I move that we accept that.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Let's go.
Thank you.
Bobcats. Very cool. All right, item 7A, consider and select construction manager at risk for the Oak Ridge High School 9th grade campus renovation project and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the construction management at risk documents. Mr. Foster.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll. It is my pleasure to bring forward for your consideration the selection of our CM at risk for our Oak Ridge High School 9th grade campus renovation project. As you know, our local policy, CV, local facilities construction deems construction manager at risk to be our project delivery method that provides the best value for the district for projects over $100,000. Accordingly, our designer for this project, VLK, and our purchasing department published a request for qualifications where we had 7 companies respond. State law requires that we invite no more than 5 to our step 2 or 2-step selection process, and we did invite 5 to our step 2 to turn in a request or a response to a request for proposals. Those 5 companies were Anslow, Bryant, Duratec, Gilbane, Joris, and Satterfield and Ponticus. As with all of our items tonight in our selections, the ranking of our responses is included in your board item, but our committee is offering Satterfield and Ponticus to be selected as the best value offer for this particular project. We request your approval.
All right, do we have a motion? So moved. Second?
Second.
All right, what about discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. All right. Consider item B, which is consider and select construction manager at risk for the Snyder, Tuff, and Collins renovation project and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the construction manager at risk documents.
All right, so in order to be efficient through this, everything is the same for this and the items following it. So as far as the selection process, VLK prepared and worked with our purchasing department to publish the request for qualifications. For this project, which is a smaller critical infrastructure renovation project, we had 3 companies respond. We did invite all 3 companies to participate in step 2. That's Anslow Bryant, GTT, and Teal Construction. And from this group, like the others. We did include the ranking as part of this approval, but our committee is recommending Anslow Bryant, which is a new contractor to our team, for this, to be the CM at risk for this particular package. We request your approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion? A motion and a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item C, which is consider and select construction manager at risk for the Armstrong, Austin, and Burnham Woods and Broadway Elementary renovation project, and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the construction manager at risk documents.
Likewise, our designer for this project was HKS, and they worked with our purchasing department to issue the request for qualifications. We had 3 companies respond. We did invite all 3 to participate in step 2. The 3 companies were Anslow Bryant, GTT, and Teal Construction. Our committee is recommending Teal Construction as the best value for the CM to be selected for this project, and we request your approval. And Teal is another new company to our team.
Teal, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, motion carries. All right, item D, consider and select construction manager at risk for the Darrichin, Kaufman, and Oak Ridge Elementary renovation projects, and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the construction manager at risk documents.
For this project, again, our designer was HKS, and they worked with purchasing to issue the request for qualifications. We did have 3 companies, the same 3 companies respond to this package as well. Anslow Bryant, GTT, and Teal Construction all were invited to participate in the second step of our 2-step process. For this group, or for this project, we're recommending GTT as the best value for the district and request your approval of this selection.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. All right, and item E, which is consider and select construction manager at risk for Milam, Houston, and Runyon Elementary renovation projects, and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the construction manager at risk documents.
Again, this is another HKS design project for us. They worked with our purchasing department, issued a request for qualifications. We had 3 companies respond. We invited all 3 to participate in the second step. It's the same 3 companies, Anslow Bryant, GTT, and Teal Construction. And for this project, we're also recommending GTT as an offer selected to be the best value, and we're requesting your approval.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? The only discussion I'd like to mention is basically more for a comment. We go through these fairly quickly just for the public to know that we have these documents, and we have an opportunity ahead of time over the last month to meet with Mr. Foster and go through a lot of our questions. So it seems as though we're not discussing these things. We've had lengthy conversations in the past with Dr. Knoll, with Mr. Foster, and all those others out there. And I appreciate the board doing that work ahead of time so we can get to the business of the district while we're here. So thank you for y'all's involvement in that. And thank you for working with us as well.
No problem.
If I could add, just, you know, in addition to that, you have the rankings, but I want to just think, there's a team of folks that do all the interviews. It's a long process. Mr. Foster, Mr. Rice, Mr. Schrader, Mr. McCord, who am I missing? Rick Reeves is there.
Yeah, Ryan Atterbury in my department, and then we always invite our architects to help advise the committee as well, so that we get lots of input and send them out on the road for reference checks and things like that.
And each of these, you know, each of these submitters, just so you know, like when they're submitting for a job, they submit a binder that these guys all read everything in their binder, and then they come in and do these long interviews. So it's quite the process that they go through. So thank you, Easy, for that.
Welcome.
Thank you for that. All right. All those in favor of the motion show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. And then receive capital improvement updates. Picture time.
Indeed. So at this time, to bring you up to speed on what we have underway throughout the district, we're going to start with our safety and security project for 23-24. This is the final installment of our 2019 bond referendum safety and security project. Following the completion of this project, we will have touched for the 2019 version of safety and security every campus in the district. The project is moving along well. We're working above the ceiling. There's not a whole lot of work that you can see, but the systems are in place. They're being inspected and commissioned by the jurisdictions having authority currently. We'll be working through that process at all of these campuses through at the end of this calendar year, but it is on schedule and looks to finish without any incident. At Bartlett Elementary, it's scheduled to open for students in August of 2024. I'm going to transition you to kind of looking at the inside of the building over the next several months. The outside is going to look largely the same from here until we get the grass planted and open that building. But the main work is on the inside of the building now. So you're looking at the perspective from the inside of the library there. You're starting to see the building finishes and things of that nature come together. The building is on schedule and will open for students in August without incident. Now, at Flex School number 24, this is the site that is directly across Old Conroe Road from River's Edge subdivision. That project was approved at February's board meeting, and the contractor mobilized the 1st of March. So you can see the clearing effort on that site is clearly underway. That project is on schedule and will look like Bartlett does about a year from now as we prepare to open this building in August of 2025. Same thing for Flex School number 25. It is in the Evergreen subdivision off of 242 near 1314. So it is also in the clearing stages on that site. Again, the project was awarded or approved for construction in February, and the contractor mobilized in March. So that project is also on schedule and scheduled to open for students in August of 25. Now, at Conroe High School, this is a major renovation of the whole campus at Conroe High School. The project is scheduled to be complete in December of 2025. The current phase, being the fine arts and the new cafeteria dining commons, is underway. It's kind of dead center of your picture currently. The building envelope is nearing its dried-in point, like we had hoped about this time during the spring semester. The exterior masonry is moving from the right of your screen towards the left, which is the fine arts wing towards the dining commons. So all the things are tracking for our turnover of the fine arts wing for the summer practices for the fine arts programs, and then for the kitchen and the dining commons to be ready for school when it starts in August of 2024 this coming summer. Like I said, the overall project is scheduled to be completed in December of 2025. Now, our campus renovations project, if you'll recall, was approved for construction back in December of 2023. We spent the first few months of 24 ordering material, approving selections, and moving forward and getting started. The first order of business is getting the roof redone at David Elementary, which is the progress photo you're seeing right there on your screen. As we move into the summer, we'll begin the air conditioning overhaul at David, and at Lamar, we're going to be doing a kitchen renovation, air conditioning overhaul, and some roof work there. At Hauser, it's our final campus that needs a fire sprinkler system, so we're adding that fire sprinkler system there and we're overhauling the air conditioning. And again, we're overhauling the air conditioning at Rice. The procurement process for all the equipment is underway currently. We're trying to get ahead of any delivery issues, so we have all of our equipment in hand when we start working this summer. But when the students leave for their summer break, we will move into each of these campuses on the interiors, make a big mess and put it all back together before the students return for in August for their next semester. So the project overall is tracking right where it needs to be from a procurement standpoint, and we look forward to having a successful summer on this project as well. And at Oak Ridge High School, I'm happy to finally report all the utilities are out of the roadway. The roadway concrete is in. We're waiting a little bit of curing to happen. Then we're going to stripe that roadway, stripe the interior roadway, and then we will open that road for public use on April the 1st.
Nice.
And then there's a little bit of paperwork to do to transfer ownership from the existing road to the new road, but that all is working its way through the county jurisdictions as we speak. But this should be the last time that I give you an update on the 2019 version of Oak Ridge High School, as we look forward to moving forward to the 2023 bond version of the continued work at Oak Ridge High School as in design currently, but it'll be a little bit before we bring you updates on that project. But that is our update, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Foster. Yeah. All right, moving on to item 8A, which is consider and award RFP 240103, Portable Building Moving Services. Mr. Rick Reeves.
You know, I'm kind of jealous. Easy and I don't get the cute little bobcat thing when we get to
No, you
do
don't.
our presentations. The crowd's just, oh.
We should
for
get
us
you a
are like,
logo. You need a mascot. purchasing mascot.
You know, like portable, like cartoon portable,
Yeah,
like
I don't
some
know.
muscles, and, you know, I don't know, something. Just something,
You
know?
got acknowledged for being a drummer. Remember that?
Yeah.
You're like a rock star.
Yeah, we do something like that. Well, good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight, we're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 240103 for portable building moving services to the following vendors: King House Moving and Right-of-Way Transports and Logistics. The request for proposals pertaining to the purchase of portable building moving services for the district were emailed to registered vendors through our district's e-bidding system, advertised on CISD purchasing website, and multiple times in the courier. Vendors were asked to offer firm prices for portable building moving services. So we have our various sizes, our singles, our doubles. Also, we ask day and night. There's different prices for day and night, and also whether it's within or the Conroe city limits. So vendors were also asked to offer a shelf or catalog discount for anything additional, similar items not listed in our line items. We had 4 vendors submit a response. Pricing shall be firm for 1 year through March 31st of 2025, automatically renewing it for 2 additional 1-year terms through March of 2027. The proposal was evaluated by the maintenance department and reviewed by the purchasing department. Best value offers are recommended for board award. Funds for these purchases are through the general fund, and at this time, we request your approval.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
All right, a couple of motions, couple of seconds. Did you get that, Ms. Godfrey?
Your choice.
All right, fair enough. Any discussion?
Just a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are these replacing existing ones or are these new ones?
These are just moving
Yeah,
existing
just
throughout.
moving.
Correct.
Just the moving.
Just the moving.
Just the moving.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. All those in favor of the motion show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then item B, which is consider and award RFQ 240201, microform factor computers.
Once again, we're requesting the board considers awarding RFQ 240201 for microform factor computers to Dell Technologies for an estimated $4.7 million over the life of the bond. The district initiated a procurement process for microform factor computers, commonly known as micro PCs, by sending out requests for quote via the CISD e-bidding system to registered vendors. A microform computer is a compact computing device designed to offer the functionality of a traditional desktop or laptop computer in a much smaller physical footprint. The vendors were instructed to provide firm unit prices for new, non-refurbished computers that will replace teacher and campus employee computers that have reached the end of their life cycle. Additionally, a shelf or catalog discount for additional similar items was also requested. The pricing is expected to remain firm for a year until March of 2025. Out of the invited vendors, we had 9 submit responses. The technology department evaluated these proposals, and then the purchasing department conducted the review. Best value offers were recommended, and this purchase is part of the 2023 bond program Proposition B that includes the $40 million for our technology devices. Funding for these is allocated in the capital projects fund. At this time, we request your approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion, a second. Conversation, discussions? Yes, ma'am.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are these similar, are these the Chromebooks?
No, ma'am.
This is
These are not Chromebooks.
Okay. So addressing the comment that we had publicly, this is a different issue?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Who would that issue be taken up with, the equitable Chromebook?
So our technology department has been purchasing Chromebooks.
Okay.
And as you may recall from the last bond, we did not, part of the reason that we had to pass the 40 million here is we're still trying to make up for the Chromebooks that were going out of cycle. We did a bid, I think it was in December of 2022 for Chromebooks. So we're continuously, our technology department is continuously buying those each month, but
Okay.
we're playing catch up, so.
What about the campuses that had more than they need?
To answer that question is when you have new schools, they get allocations for technology. But existing schools, principals make decisions as to how they spend their budget money. So some campuses have made decisions to buy more Chromebooks, which is why they have additional Chromebooks. So like the idea of going to take it from them and giving it to someone else, like they spent their budget money
So it's not
on
CISD
that.
property? It's
Correct. I
per
mean,
campus.
it is because everything is ours, but they spent campus budget money to buy additional Chrome carts at a lot of those campuses. And we did have some campuses where more students have had personal devices, so they didn't have the need to buy those devices because students were using their own. Now with the new policy, it's an adjustment. So we'll have to look to see if there's a way that we can help support them to bring that back. But, that to go take them from someone else, that if they bought them with their own funded money, and some of that might be state comp ed money and things that you can't take, you couldn't take it because it's purchased specifically for at-risk students. You couldn't take it to another campus. So we'll have to look at that.
That'd be great.
Yes, I'd like to just piggyback on that and suggest that we do look at every aspect of redistributing the Chromebooks. If we have campuses obviously short and campuses obviously with excess, could we not find a way to somehow?
Well, it's not necessarily a matter of excess because they may be utilized in different ways. We can look at that, but to take, the principal of one campus made a choice of how to spend their money, and they chose to buy a Chrome cart. And if a principal at another building did something else with their money and didn't buy a Chrome cart, to then go and take from that other campus is basically, it would be
So
not the right thing. But
are textbooks bought differently?
Yes, textbooks are equally allocated to every building, every campus.
So because they're bought at the district level?
Correct.
So if
And
we did that
we
with
give
computers?
a standard, we give a like there's a base amount that goes to campuses, but we are not a one-to-one district. We're not funded that way. So we don't have the funding to provide our campuses with one-to-one technology. I think we had this discussion about a future bond. We could do that in a future bond to say that we want to do that and put that amount onto a bond to purchase all those computers, but that's not how we've ever been funded. So we've never been a one-to-one district.
So computers are not considered equal to a textbook?
No.
And
Because
we couldn't switch how we
textbooks
fund
come
that?
from the state through IMA. Computers do not. So no, it's not, we don't have the same ability to do that. But once again, even if we chose to move some, if we had excess, then if it was bought with state comp ed money, that's specifically to a certain group of at-risk students, you couldn't move that to another school.
Do we track that, like the number that were bought with certain monies?
Yes, we know how they bought them. Because
I'd
they
like
buy
to
them
get
in
those
carts.
numbers.
Could we do a deeper dive and investigate it a little bit more?
Sure, absolutely.
And see if we can help in any
Yeah,
specific way?
absolutely.
I do have one quick question on that. On the Chromebooks that we're replacing with bond money, is that, are those ones that were purchased by that campus funds, or are these ones that we purchased with basic district-wide funds or bond funds?
It'd be both. It'd be all of those.
So if a principal chooses to spend money buying Chromebooks, when they need replacing, we replace those,
Correct.
they don't use?
Yes. I believe that's true. I'll have to verify that just for clarity, because I don't,
That'd be great.
but what we keep on inventory is
here he comes.
how many Chromebooks or computers we have, and when they are going to go out of life cycle. Welcome back, Terry. I know how you love to come up to the microphone. Welcome. Is that a true statement? Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Another stellar performance by Mr. McClarity. Thank you.
Just give a thumbs up from the back next time. Then you don't have to come up.
You can't see.
Just to be clear, Dr. Dole,
Item at hand.
while the number
Yes, sir.
of
Agenda item.
Chromebooks are not the same campus to campus for
that's a good
the
point.
region,
It's not an agenda
Can-
item.
yeah,
Glenn.
you
Can I-
explain, hold on. Every campus has what they need to perform testing. Is this true?
Correct. Every campus has the number that they need for testing.
But maybe not what they want.
Real quick,
Correct. They
Thank
might
you.
not be able to do it all in.
if I could
And
hold off on
then
just 1 second.
for the
one
agenda
sec-
item?
Hold on 1 second.
It's not an agenda.
I just want to make sure, Ms. Gladys, are we okay in discussing this as we,
not on the
as we
agenda.
are? I just want to make
Ms.
sure,
Chase
that's all.
was going into
I'm
the
going
agenda
into
item.
the agenda item. Okay.
Okay, thank
Gotcha.
you. Thank
I'm
you.
just more of a comment than a question on the agenda item. I was really shocked to see the disparity between the bidders and the prices they came up with. I mean, there's always a continuum, but this one seemed really excessive. Do you know a reason for that, or no? Okay.
It's a competitive process, so sharpen your
Yeah.
pencils and let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All
Good
right,
job.
any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and our receive financial reports. Is it still Ms. Garza, or?
It is. Indeed, Ms. Garza.
I don't know, maybe she gave it to somebody else.
No, she's still.
All right.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. It is my pleasure to present the financial statements as of February 29th, 2024. Our first statement this evening is the balance sheet. The balance sheet shows the district's assets, liabilities, and fund balance. In the general fund, our total assets are $416.7, debt service $77.2 million, child nutrition $16 million, and then self-funded insurance $13.8 million.
There we go.
What happened?
Okay, sorry. I'm learning to use the clicker, I guess. The next statement is our income statement. The income statement shows the district's revenues and expenditures. In the general fund, year-to-date revenue is $477.9 million. Year-to-date expense at $275 million. In debt service, year-to-date year-to-date revenue of $139.8, expenses of $119.8. Child nutrition, $17.8 in revenue, expenses of $15.5. And then self-funded insurance revenue of $27.8, expenses of $24.8. This is our 2019 bond referendum update. Estimated to complete $27.2 million. Most of those projects are winding down. And as promised at our last meeting, this is our first update of the 2023 bond referendum. And as you can see, Mr. Foster and his team have been very busy. All but 3 of the projects approved in the bond have begun spending, and we are at 123.8 total expended or encumbered to date, leaving a remaining of $1.8 billion. $595 million of our approved bond referendum has been sold to date. This is our self-funded insurance update. Through the month of February, we are still running very well for the year. Total surplus for the year at just under $2.5 million. The month of February, we had total revenue of $4.6 million and total expenses of $4.3. So plan is performing very well this year. Our investments as of February 29th, par value of just under $1.2 billion. Our pools are yielding 5.51, Wood Forest National Bank at 5.61. Our combined portfolio is at 5.39, and our 90-day T-bill, which is our benchmark, is at 5.27.
Okay.
Thank
Any questions?
Two points on that, just maybe real quick. On the self-funded insurance, that 2.5 surplus, the Employee Benefits Committee is working on a plan as to how to give that savings back to our employees. We should hear an update at the April workshop of what their plan is to adjust for that, to give it back. And then at our new community collaborative that we have, Karen spoke last time, and I struggled introducing her. I didn't know if incoming CFO, I wasn't sure. So I asked the group, like, what do we call her? And they gave her, I think, a very proper name. She is CFO 2.0. So that is her.
Until June.
Yeah, that's right.
Ms. Garza, question.
Sure.
Real quick. On the 18 million contingency we set aside for potential overruns on the bond.
Yes.
What's that looking like?
Well, we are going to bring that back to the general fund. We are going to need to bring it back to the general fund, yes. So we'll be bringing that to you probably at the April or May meeting.
Thank you.
Ms. Garza, can you confirm, was that untouched?
It was untouched, yes.
And what was the duration?
That's why we're able to bring it back. I believe that resolution was brought to you November of 22.
22, yeah.
Yeah.
So just under, they approved that in 22?
Correct.
I wasn't here. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, no motion for that. All right, thank you, Ms. Garza. Okay, moving on to item 10A, which is our legal. A board member requests discussion regarding the process to complain about discussions or decisions to remove library books and instructional material through informal or formal reconsideration as set out in Board Policy EFA instructional resources, instructional materials, and EFB instructional resources, library material. I believe this was your item, so I'll let you open it up.
Yeah, this is mine. So maybe I just refresh everyone, because last board meeting feels like forever ago, and also just the other day somehow, both at the same time. But anyway, this came up because of the motion on how to dispose of some books that had been culled. And I was contacted by quite a few parents that were wanting to know what kind of recourse they had if they objected to the challenge books that were removed. If you remember, our policy EFA and EFB has in there, if you want to challenge a book, it has the formal one, the formal reconsideration, where we all know and love, where it goes, to reconsideration committee, appealed, and then to the board. To the best of my knowledge, there's been 17 of those, 3 of which have come to us. And then the other way to challenge a book is through the informal reconsideration. And that consists of sending an email saying, I please look at this book. I don't agree with this book. And then the district has 10 days to respond to that. My understanding is that hundreds of books have been challenged that way. So including some of the books that were marked for disposal. So the question came up, okay, if I don't agree with that removal, especially through the informal reconsideration, what is my recourse? What can I do to do it, to challenge it or to object? So I would like to discuss, first of all, I don't know that I necessarily agree with an informal reconsideration process that could be gamed by a few people, even outside interests, to unduly influence what we have in our libraries. And plus, it puts a huge burden on our librarians who have to get in the middle of all of this. I think if you want to challenge a book, you should take it to a formal consideration, and that ultimately the board bears the responsibility to decide what's in our campuses. That's the first item I would like to discuss. And then the second and third would be an addition to EFA and EFB, pointing someone who would object to a challenged and removed book to the complaint policy, which is F and G. Yeah, so not a new complaint process, but just some language to point someone where to go if they had a complaint against a removed book that was challenged. And then additionally, I would like to discuss adding that language to the FAQ on the district website. So if a parent or a concerned member of the district, of the community, were to go to the library website, they would see the list of books that have been challenged and their status, like removed, pending review, whatever. And then at the bottom, there's a FAQ, and it goes over how to basically remove a book or challenge a book, but there's no language in there if you don't agree with that. And I just want to just remind everyone what was on that list. I mean, classics were on that list, like, Brave New World, Charles Dickens. Like, there are things on there that are things we would all recognize, and we would all say, hey, I had access to that as I was in school, and maybe I didn't love Charles Dickens, but maybe I should have had access to that, and maybe I should have read those classics. So anyway, those are the items I want to discuss, those 3 things: the language, to the FAQ, to the policy, and removing informal reconsideration.
If I may, so I just want to thank you for bringing this up. My first question is just on the item number 1. So the number 1, this may be for Ms. Gladys or for yourself. I'm not expecting you to know, but who carries the burden of proof? I'm talking about an informal request. So basically, in an informal request, what is that process? What does that look like? And who has a final say? And what criteria are they using for that?
The criteria is your board policy, the criteria you've set out in it, and it's the professionals that review the book to see if it meets the new criteria established by the board, and they make a professional determination about whether it does or not.
So a formal request goes through the exact same process?
No, a formal request is made up of the committee as set out in policy EFB that includes parents, a librarian or someone with knowledge or content of the book, having taught it. It has more, and then a report is issued explaining their decision. And then from that, a person that disagrees with the decision of that committee can appeal to you at level 3, or a board member can appeal the decision of that. And that's set out in your policies, EFA and EFB.
And so is what you're saying that on an informal request, whatever decision is made, there's no appeal process for that?
There's not one in policy EFA or EFB because I don't believe that would be the appropriate place for such a process to be. We have standard complaint policies in our district for people that are aggrieved by any decision that you make, we make, a campus makes, a teacher makes, that they can file a complaint complaining about that action. The criteria is it needs to be made within 15 days of the time a person first knew or with reasonable diligence should have known of the event for it to be timely filed. And so I think that would be the process, since we update our website routinely with the books that have been reviewed and the decisions that have been made. A person certainly within, as I explained in some correspondence I sent to you, they would be able to file a complaint if they routinely monitor that site, if this is an issue that's important to them.
So are we asking on the informal request? So the formal request, it's a panel, parents. There's a process for that.
A formal reconsideration
Yes,
committee is
formal reconsideration.
it's set
But
out in the
On
policy.
an informal request, how many people does that book typically touch before a decision is made?
Like how many people are on the informal review committee?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it just depends. It's
They meet
probably-
monthly. It's a team of
Team?
librarians that meet,
Yeah,
that
I'd
meet
say
monthly.
7 or
It's not
8.
just one.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
No. The only time that, like, only one person may touch it is something that is super egregious, right? I think we've worked through all the super egregious, but if something were to come up that was super egregious, then it may be very evident by our one head librarian that's super egregious. Most of them on the informal go to a committee of librarians, and once again, it's not them using their personal opinion. It's them using their professional opinion based on your policy.
Okay.
It's them reading the policy that you set out of your selection criteria, and then them using their professional judgment on if this book meets your selection criteria.
So if I may, I know I don't mean to dominate this. I'm just trying to get clarity because I want to understand your point. So is the issue more of through the formal complaint process, if I submit a book and I disagree with what the committee decides not to remove the book, because I'm in formal complaint, I'm asking the book to be removed. So in that scenario, if I disagree with that, there's a process for me to challenge that.
Yes.
Are you saying that the opposite is not available for those who say, wait a minute, I don't think that book should have been
Yes.
challenged?
Or
Okay.
removed,
Or removed?
yeah.
Okay.
Not challenged, but
Ms.
removed.
Gladys, could you explain, so if we update the website tomorrow and we add a book on there and someone disagrees with that and they file a complaint under the complaint policy, what would that process look like moving forward from there?
They would go to our website for complaints, they'd fill out the complaint form, and maybe it says, Brave New World was removed through the informal process in April or March of 2024. I disagree with the decision to remove it. It's a classic, and I file my complaint. And so then we would assign it to a hearing officer, starting at level 2, and they would review the process. Was the process followed? Because we're not going to ask someone to second guess a panel of experts about whether or not they think the selection criteria has been met. And so let's just say they say that they've followed the informal process, and the decision, was based on these 7 professional librarians' decision that it doesn't meet the selection criteria. Then that person could appeal to you all, file a appeal to the board, just like we've had before, an FNG complaint, assuming it's a parent, and there'd be a hearing before the board about the removal of the book. And then you all could decide whether the book should be returned or not.
So if it ultimately ends up back at us anyway, why do we, set our librarians up to kind of take the heat for this?
Because they remove them for a variety of reasons.
I understand. I'm speaking specifically about informal reconsiderations.
Well, I think that's part of their job to decide what should be in a collection
Of
to
course,
apply.
but this is not prompted by them doing their job. This is prompted by people emailing them. And to be clear, like, we have special interest groups emailing them, a mass of books to review, right? People I'm not even sure actually live in this district, let alone are parents of kids in our district. Why would we put our librarians in the middle of that?
Well, I think that our constituents.
Yeah, I think ultimately it is their job. It's their responsibility. For any of us, that is a part of their job to curate the collection of the books. And so, once, like Ms. Galata said, they're going through and culling books for a variety of reasons. Obviously, there's one reason here, but it is our job as a staff to enforce board policy. That's what we are called to do. So the fact that the policy exists, it is their responsibility to make sure that the collection meets the board policy. And that's the exercise that they go through when they do that.
Absolutely, and I would expect them to do that. So it's kind of, curious that these emails from a handful of people, would cause removal of hundreds of books. Like, that is, right? If we're doing, if the expectation is that, like, the libraries are curated based on our policy, it should not be prompted by an email from Citizens Defending Freedom to review dozens of books and pull them.
Yeah.
So this is what I have a problem with.
Yeah, and I would argue that our responsibility as a staff is to make sure that board policy is being enforced, regardless of how that is brought to us. That makes that, to me, that's not the important piece. The important piece for us is that we are enforcing board policy through everything that we do.
Go ahead, Ms. Duncan.
In light of that, I would like to make a recommendation because I just now navigated to our library. I agree with you about making that more easily accessible. And it might be that if we added a reason, so I'm seeing a status, but I don't see a reason each book was removed. So if a reason were to add clarity as to why the book was removed, that might help clear up some concerns. It's my thought.
I actually have asked for that a number of times, that column be there. If it would just state whatever reason, it was low readership or it didn't meet the standards of the TSLAC. That's what we adopted in our policy, the TSLAC criteria of this reason, whichever point it was. It would help eliminate. Then that person could see why it was prompted for removing. And then if they weren't, I agree. I don't think it should only go one way. I mean, if someone's got a complaint, it doesn't matter if they're for or against. They should have a right to voice that. So it might help eliminate if some of them do say doesn't meet standards. Some of them don't say low readership or whatever. But the point is I think if we identified that, it would help some people know what the reason was and then decide more transparency. And then it would allow them to know if they wanted to file a complaint through the complaint route or whatever. So
yeah, I think the ultimate transparency if it were to come to the board, but I take all of your points. And then how would a person know, other than they're just an expert in board policies at Conroe ISD, how would they know to go to the complaint policy?
Well, considering the number of complaints I get all the time, there are people that have been able to figure that out.
But we can easily add it to the website.
Yes.
To that. I mean, I think that's an easy addition to the FAQs. And we could even put an asterisk next to that list so that people would know that we could direct them to the FAQs if they wanted to look at it. That doesn't require a policy change. That's just a procedural thing we can make happen so that people know where to go.
And what about adding it to the EFA, EFB?
Adding a link?
No, just adding verbiage in there.
Here, I think it's unnecessary, and we don't, I mean, there's no other policy, I mean, that says, because you have, I don't know, 1,000 policies, we don't put, if you don't like this one, you can go file a complaint under any of these. I mean, the policy manual is searchable by word. I mean, anybody that can get there can type complaint in and find out how to do it. Or on the website, it takes you right to the place to how to file complaints where those policies are. I think if I get to pick, I think it's not best practice to include it in there because I don't think that's where it belongs. I don't think it belongs there topically. I think it belongs with all the other standard, policies. We can certainly add a question and answer that's easy to the website.
Yeah. I will say, based on my conversations with people, no one knew that was their option to file the complaint. And I would say these are people who are engaged, who know what is going on, and no one knew this, right? They said, okay, well, when I read the policy, there's no recourse for me to do anything. So I think there is a missing link for people for it to go both ways and hopefully reflect.
Well, I'm certainly happy to bring back draft revisions to both of those.
And I agree with you. For the record, I agree with you. And I think that's why this conversation was powerful because to put it out there. Now we have said it publicly that the complaint process is the way to go. And then if we do make the adjustment on the website, people can see it as well. Because I agree with you. Because I've had some of those emails as well. People not knowing exactly. And truthfully, it sparked my conversation about with Ms. Gladys because as I go back and reread the policy, I'm like help. I had to have Ms. Gladys help me understand that process. So I do think it was not laid out there, but I think this conversation, including on the website, helps bring it forward so folks do know that.
But Ms. Chase, I agree with that, with the awareness, but I'm not sure that adding it to the EFA and EFB would increase awareness. If that's the biggest issue is awareness, then we can do a better job of awareness, but I'm not sure adding that to a policy
I don't know.
addresses awareness.
I mean, there's a general vibe with that policy about how do you take books out of our library?
I understand. Yes,
it is
ma'am. I
really
get it.
set up for that to succeed. And
Yep.
honestly, as a parent of kiddos in this district, it has moved scarily fast. Yeah, it feels scarily fast how fast informal reconsideration moves. So I think it is in the best interest to present, hey, if you don't want to challenge a book off our shelves, but you have a problem with one that has been removed, here is your recourse. Here's what you do. And I agree, we should not reinvent the wheel and write a whole new process in there. But I think pointing people to where they need to go, I don't see a problem with that.
Can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
So librarians remove books all the time.
Yes.
The cover's torn, there's pages missing. So are we wanting all of those then
No.
listed on the web? And a grievance about those if we're not going to replace
No.
Charles Dickens or?
No. And
So how are they to know?
Informal.
Because
Well, I think that's what we said. We need to add another column to say the reason, right? This was removed because of an informal reconsideration request. It is very clear, the formal ones that came to the board upheld this, the board moved that.
Right. The website has a separate list for those moved under informal reconsideration and a separate list for the formal consideration. They're two separate lists on the website.
And that was going to be a point. I think there should be more clarity on the website, and even so much as the justification of the list. You can't really tell, depending on how you're looking at it, whether it be a phone or make it so that this information is front and center so that people can go to our library section and they can access a list with a reason for the removal. And then maybe a link where they can do a formal or informal complaint.
Q&A or something.
Right there on the website.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. I thought you were asking, should we be able to challenge books cold? And no, I'm talking specifically about the informal reconsideration books, the list.
Because there are those that are removed on that list because of readership.
I understand that,
Okay.
and that bit of information would be helpful.
Okay.
Right? That would be helpful. Because I do understand the first thing they look at when they get a informal reconsideration, an email, like, I don't like this book, remove this book, they look at, is anyone even reading it? And I get that. And if no one's even reading it, like, what is the point? I get that. But it's not clear that that's what's happening. And then we compound that with, like, I can't do anything about this. I don't have all the information. I draw my own conclusions based on my own, experiences and feelings towards books
So
in district.
Would you like staff to go back and do that for all the ones that are already posted on the website?
I think it's not, it's past like the point where anyone can even take any action, right?
We can do it starting going forward I
think that has an effort of transparency and also to give people, the information they need to take action if they feel like they need to take action. I mean, ultimately then, hey, the ball's in your court. If you really disagree with this, put your money where your mouth is and
So you
make a
wanted-
complaint.
So you want an additional column that is transparent, that says the reason for the book removal?
Yes.
And then maybe like in a Q&A that says, if you disagree with the removal purposes, click here to file a complaint?
Or just a pointing to
Yeah.
FNG, like,
We can add that. And so if we add this column, what I would anticipate that looking like is, it may say low readership or whatever, lack of circulation, or it may say did not meet selection criteria, which is going to be what almost all of them are going to say. Did not meet selection criteria, and then maybe a number next to that to be whichever number on
Yes.
that list they felt like it didn't meet. So, and then we can just, the policy is there, so people can go back and reference that, but to just say, did not meet selection criteria, number 4. I don't have any idea what any of those are, but we could put that, right? I mean, number 7 or number, just so that they can see that. So we can do that. And I don't know if we may be able to produce that going backwards some, but we can certainly have it set going forward. Absolutely.
well, would it still be an option for people to file a complaint since I think the requirements are 15 days, you should have known or reasonably expected to know. So given people did not know that was the process?
Ultimately, that would be up to you guys.
Okay.
So timeliness, we would probably include in the decision that it wasn't timely, but then you all, if it comes to level 3, would be able to decide whether it was timely or not.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Knoll, the last time I also looked at the website, on that page, I don't know, it might help also if we put something about this page will be updated monthly or as additions are added, so that it lets people know to keep checking back.
Agreed. And I think for the sake of the conversation, one of the things that we've talked about procedurally is having a set day every month that we update it so that people know, once again, there's a timeline, right? If there's a 15-day window, so, and I'll need to work with our staff to understand like when they meet, when that could be done. But if we said it's going to be updated the 3rd Friday of every month, that's this website updates the 3rd Friday of every month, and there might be a month that we don't really have an update, but people would know to go and check. We're going to update it on the 3rd Friday or whatever the day may be, so that's when that 15 days starts ticking and everyone could know that, right?
I think these are all good steps. I'm happy with this. Yeah.
Well, there's no motions to be made on this. This is just a discussion item. So could there be an assignment made? Is it?
You have my word, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, we'll work on it. And we'll update you, and you'll see the updates on the website as well, but we'll share it with you when we get it.
Okay.
Get the steps made.
All right, very good. Anything
Thank
else?
you.
Yes, very good. All right, moving on to item 10B, board member request discussion regarding bylaws for School Health Advisory Council. That was me. For clarity, during public comments, there was a mention about me, something under my breath. These mics, this is just me, this is my practice, but as a board president, I feel like it's important to have my mic on the entire time. I just do, because sometimes people will lean over and ask me questions, and I'm okay with it being picked up. So sometimes it's considered a hot mic, but I still believe in that ultimate transparency. And so when we were talking about the cell phone policy, we were talking at the time it was coming to us for the first time, the SHAC was bringing it to us. We needed to assign a committee that was made up of all types of different professionals. And yeah, I made the comment saying I'm not going to allow 12 people to just come up here and suggest a policy without a committee and without some research done. So that's what that was about. What they didn't hear was the question that was asked to me, which is fine. So I'm just trying to provide some clarity as to what it was that I was saying. And I wholeheartedly believe in community and believe in allowing the community to support, and fortunately it worked out very well, because I think we all got emails, or even earlier this week, about how the cell phone policy is working, that teachers are appreciative of it, and it was because of the work of that entire committee. Whether or not those save 12 people are on that committee makes no never mind to me. It was the process that we used, so I stand wholeheartedly behind that. Leading from that to the SHAC bylaws, there was a couple of things. We all got the email earlier this week from Ms. Gladys and some things that she had recommended to us. And I just think that it is our job as the school board to provide some clarity for the different subcommittees that report to us. And I've witnessed a few things online. I've watched the videos, and I've received some emails, and I think that it would be very helpful that we provided the SHAC the actual bylaws. Now, that does not in any form mean that I don't support or agree with the work that the SHAC committee is doing, because I wholeheartedly believe in it and I support it, and I think that the goals that they have are certainly great goals, and what they're trying to help are extremely important. What my point is we never approved any bylaws, and it's not necessarily something that we do to every committee, but whenever we all got the email from Ms. Gladys, there were some glaring issues that I think that the SHAC committee would appreciate some guidance from the board. So I wanted to open that up and see what people's thoughts were about that, and I've obviously got some suggestions as well, but that's where I wanted to start the conversation.
Well, the first thing I would say is that the one thing that's different about the SHAC is that it's a council. It's not a committee. So it is something that is different from other committees that serve under the board. They're an independent council. Second thing, you said they might serve from some guidance. Then maybe we should as well. And that is why this has been filed with the AG's office, asking for guidance on our authority to make decisions on the bylaws, stating the bylaws. As a board, we ask for guidance to find out if we actually have that authority. So maybe we should take some guidance from them on does the board actually have the legal right to define the bylaws for the SHAC?
Section 28004, Local School Health Advisory Council and Health. The Board of Trustees of each school district shall establish a local school health advisory council to assist the direction in ensuring the local community values are reflected in the district's health educational instruction. School district must consider the recommendations of a local school health advisory council before changing the district's health education curriculum and instruction, and then give some recommendations on how to achieve that. Are you saying that council is different than a subcommittee, and that therefore it warrants that we as a board, as an elected board, do not have the authority to oversee an advisory council that is to advise us on, and they're just giving advice? Is that what you're?
I am stating that the council, the SHAC, the Student Health Advisory Council, is different than a committee that serves under our direction.
And how so?
Because it's stated in 28.004 that the council is to operate as its own entity separate and will bring their recommendations to the board, but it's only a recommendation. We have the authority on what actions to take it under advisement, to modify it or even consider it, and then to act in some way different. The council, the whole purpose for that organization, that council to be created was to give the community of parents and community members, and in conjunction with employees and staff members, but the parent a seat at the table. In 28.004, it does not state that that the board writes the bylaws for them. It does not state that we have to approve their bylaws. It's how they operate. It's not how we operate.
I'm going to back up. So what did you do here? What is this?
We filed for guidance from AG Paxton's office on, do we have the authority?
When you say we, it says Melissa Dungan, Tiffany Nelson, and I.
Misty Odenwiller, you'll see it signed in there, all of it.
I saw that. So you went to the AG for
Right.
guidance? Did you go to Ms. Gladys?
Ultimately, he's our authority. I did go to Ms. Gladys. I asked her numerous times if she was advising us as a board, or was she advising us as the district? And the bottom line was, we asked for guidance from the AG on, do we have the authority to write bylaws for the SHAC?
And so I asked outside counsel.
Oh, you had outside counsel?
We all have access to outside
I asked
counsel.
you about that before the
No, ma'am, you
board
didn't.
meeting.
You said bring them, and I said no, but we all have access to
But did you
outside
tell me I could reach out to outside counsel in lieu of this? That you knew that you could reach out? I don't even have an outside counsel. I've asked about that before.
Ms. Gladys, do we all have access to Ms. Ellen Spalding?
Actually, you do as the,
I do? Okay, well, I apologize. So I have access to outside counsel. So I called her, and she said, you are 100% able to set bylaws. And I'm not looking for a fight by any stretch. I had no idea that you wanted to go to the Attorney General to make a big stink about this. I was just saying, look, there's things going on that I don't necessarily agree with in the bylaws. And so I'm actually confused as to why this is such a big deal. I mean, we have purview to be able to set the bylaws on how a committee that is reporting to us is going to work. Like what assignment do we want to give them? Those are the types of things. But I'm
Council or committee?
Mr. President, I will question that we could have revised maybe a policy that we just approved in a consent agenda that we rubber stamped, as I said earlier. Like you literally just approved policy EHAA in the consent agenda.
okay.
If you wanted to make a change to how their bylaws are written, maybe we could have put it in that policy that was in the consent agenda.
Why would I put that in the consent agenda?
Why did you put the policy?
Look,
You could have pulled that policy approval out and made your argument
Guys.
that we revised this policy.
look, to be honest, I've heard a whole lot more about the shack than I ever want to hear in a million years. Again, sitting here 12 years, hadn't heard this much about a shack.
That's unfortunate.
But back to my point, the tone of the discussion between the shack and the board seems very contentious. It's very difficult for a shack to be effective in advising the board when that tone or that dichotomy is there. I would just say this, I don't think we should, as a committee that's advising the board, and for lack of better language, we shouldn't let the tail wag the dog here, by any means. If you're gonna give advice, the advisement should be coming from a place where we trust that that committee has formulated, come back with us with good information, has solicited the folks, and the committee makeup should be made up of folks that have not been chosen specifically by a select group. No need for us to beat around the bush. I think the shack is filled emboldened by a couple board members up here. I'm not saying one way or the other, but that's the feel that I get here. Can't say that for definite, but I definitely believe that's the case from where I sit. As it relates to the bylaws, Ms. Gladys, you have an opportunity to review these bylaws. Do you find any issues or any improvement that's necessarily needed to the bylaws of the SHAC committee that would help make it a little bit more, I guess everybody likes to say the buzzword, transparent, or conducive to what we're trying to accomplish as a committee that's advising the board?
Well, I shared some of the issues that have come up. I mean, the abundance of work that the committee is asking staff members.
Who are they asking
to
that?
do. I think the
Staff.
co-chair, staff.
Why are we giving individual committees the ability to dictate to the
No,
staff?
no, it's a council.
I don't care what you call them. You can call them a board of judges or dictators, whatever you want to call them, I don't care. Why are we giving any committee the ability to dictate the work for our staff when we can't do that?
Can't, yes, we can. We can ask for any of
You
that.
can ask, but you don't get to dictate the work of staff. No board member. The board is a
Right.
board. We don't act as individuals. I think we're losing sight of that. This is a board.
Mr. Williams, that's
Right.
public data that they're asking
This is a
for.
board. I don't care who. I don't care what it is. You don't ask. You don't go on somebody's job just because you feel like it's public and ask a police officer to go run all these reports. You don't get to do that. You don't get to go to the fire station and say, "Give me the specifics of this fire truck. How many gallons of water it holds, et cetera, et cetera." He has a job to do. He gets directed from his direct reports.
Well, I think to your point, yes, we would certainly allow these things to happen. However, to Ms. Oldenweller's point, we do have the ability to ask staff to get information. Hear me out.
You get to
Hold on.
ask for anything.
But my
I
point
can
is-
ask right now, but you don't get to dictate the work of staff.
I understand, but my point is, however, if it's over a certain amount of hours, then
I don't care if it's 5 minutes. You do not get to dictate the directives of the staff. As a board member, as a SHAC committee, as a SHAC committee, you do not get to dictate that.
I'm not arguing against you. I'm just saying when they do ask for information, if we ask for that information, we have to report it in public meetings as to what we asked for and how many man hours it actually took. And the SHAC is not doing those things. And we're limiting, like we're appointing members to the SHAC committee, and then the SHAC committee is withdrawing their ability to have voting rights. And that's, I see that as a conflict. And then we have some members, I mean, the SHAC committee.
Let me clarify.
Hold on a second. The
Is that what
SHAC
we're doing?
committee, the SHAC committee
The
says,
SHAC did remove, from what had been the past practice, they did remove voting rights for certain SHAC committee members that were employees of the district.
so the other part down here, it says the Board of Trustees
Dr.
shall.
Upshaw. Did we appoint Dr. Upshaw on that committee?
She's a co-chair.
She's a co-chair. So it says the Board of Trustees shall appoint at least 5 members to the local school health, which we did. A majority of the members must be persons who are parents of students enrolled in the district and who are not employed by the district. And we have some of those parents that are actually substitutes for Conroe ISD. So they are then employees of the district, which we didn't appoint them as employees of the district. We employed them as parents. And it says specifically in this own bylaws, or, I'm sorry, in the 28004, that you can't be both. Now, obviously, I don't want to keep anybody from having a job. I think, you certainly have that right to do so. But in doing so, you can no longer serve on the SHAC committee. So those are the types of things. I'm not trying for I'm not looking for a, complete 180. I think the work that's happened is great, but I'm saying we as a board need to put some guardrails on as to what the purview is and the bylaws and kind of enforce the bylaws.
President
That's all.
Huber, putting aside the whole AG thing and whether we can or not, what would you like to be changed? Like what specific kind of recommendations would you have?
A couple of things. First of all, I want to make sure that the purview, which is, in 28004, that this is obviously upheld, right? So I certainly, that's my priority number one, just like I'm sure everybody else would as well. Info request, I think there should be some type of guideline for information requests.
Meaning what the SHAC is
Allowed to
requesting from the
and
district.
that process, like we have to follow a process. Hold on a second. We
I'm-
have to follow a process. I think they should follow a process as well.
I'm thoroughly confused about these processes. or you allowing individual committee members to request stuff from folks and holding those folks accountable to get it to them? Because that should be coming from either you or the principals. Now, who's protecting our staff from us? I really need to understand it.
Presently, yes, that is what is occurring.
You have to stop that.
Well, that's part of what I want to talk about.
Okay. And what else?
The goals, I think that the board should allow the goals and the scope and the goals and scope and the focus of what the SHAC committee should be working on as well. Now, obviously, we want input from the SHAC committee because they're boots on the ground and they're in front of the parents and they have a vested interest, of course. But, if they've got, I think there's another thing in here about subcommittees.
Yeah, they have to have a physical fitness one.
Yeah, I apologize, I don't have it, I thought I had it highlighted.
It's the physical fitness or
Is it
something like that. Yeah.
There's 10 subcommittees. The SHAC has created 10 different subcommittees. All I'm saying is I think that everything they're doing is great, but let's rein it in and focus on what we all collectively agree. It's very similar. I mean, the statute has put this out. We also have a statute for safety and security. We also have a statute for the audit committee. I mean, these are committees or council, call it what you want, that we have purview to set the bylaws. And I think, honestly, I'm not sure the purpose of this, of the theatrics of giving it to me at a board meeting and blindsiding me. And Ms. Gladys, did you know this was coming?
No, sir.
This is, I believe
The
this is.
reason that was delivered
I was
to
not done talking.
My apology.
Without any notice to anybody on this board is highly inappropriate. We're a team. We're a team. We need to work like a team. And for the three of y'all to sign this and give it to us in the middle of a meeting is not sincere and is theatrics. And I'm highly offended that this would happen at a meeting like this. Go ahead.
Yes, to speak first.
I want to understand, are you telling the board that you want to limit the information that this council is able to get to do what they're set out to do?
You asked me that?
No, Mr. Hubert.
Because I love to answer that one.
I didn't ask you.
What I'm saying is we need to give them some guidance on what they should be working on and how that information can be requested.
You're wanting to limit the amount of data
I
they
don't-
have to make decisions that bring recommendations
Ms.
to our
Duncan, I
board.
don't agree with how you're prefacing it. I don't.
I don't agree with what
I
you're trying to
disagree.
do here.
What is it that you don't agree with?
I don't think it's wise or responsible to limit data that they need to do their job as a council. These are volunteer parents, volunteer community members.
Yeah.
Why would we ever try to make it harder for them to do what they're trying to accomplish?
Exactly. That's exactly what the teachers are telling me. They're trying to do what they came to accomplish, and we're inundating them with miscellaneous requests that have nothing to do with accomplishing the goals that the SHAC was set aside to do.
This data is likely not managed by teachers. This should be if it's
Administration.
not a reasonable request, I get that. But if this is data that we should probably already be keeping on hand to provide to, if needed, then it shouldn't take all these man hours.
How many hours is this stuff taking you guys, Dr. No? I'm thoroughly frustrated at the fact that we think we've empowered somebody. We think they're empowered.
That's the thing.
Whether it
They
be
think they're
board
empowered.
members
We
or
never did it.
SHAC committee or arts and crafts committee, whoever it is, right? They volunteer, I don't care what you do, to come in the school district and dictate to various employees or administration information that they want because they want it without going through the proper protocols is absurd. From a
They
board
serve a
member, from a
purpose.
board member standpoint to anybody that's committed in a community standpoint, that's absurd. These people cannot function and be successful at what they're doing simply because we got agendas in various capacities, various areas, and we think we are empowered to carry out those agendas. Unacceptable. And I'm thoroughly frustrated, once again, that we allow that to happen from an administrative standpoint.
Well, they don't, the administration, they're just doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. Like my point is we didn't give them as a board, we didn't put any guardrails on this thing.
No.
I don't want you to blame the administration for responding to it.
Got to. Because you see, we have this problem sometimes in corporate America. People take an org chart and they turn it upside down. They read it upside down, and they, for some reason, think they get to dictate below, right? Just like people come in my office sometimes with recommendation and advisement, right? But deep down, they're taking it as a dictate, right? So if I don't respond based on what they're telling me to do, they're disappointed because they didn't come in with the expectation that it's just a recommendation. Just like these committees and so forth bringing stuff to us, their expectation is for you to execute. And if you don't, right, you got a problem, right? And just like the org chart I just prefaced before, it clearly states that Dr. Noah reports to a board, not Datron Williams, right? Have I ever dictated to you what you do? Not my job. I don't go to people's classrooms, don't go to schools, and been in this district for 20-some years, don't dictate to anybody. From a parent standpoint, I got expectations. From a board member standpoint, I have none. Because without 4 votes, I'm just a taxpayer. And I'm tired of hearing people say, I'm a taxpayer, this is a district. Stop paying them. That's up to you. Everybody's a taxpayer. They don't give you any more rights than anybody else.
Okay.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Odenweller, who wrote the brief requesting the information and the opinion from the AG? Who wrote this brief?
My attorney.
Who is that, please?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
The point is that I had to seek outside counsel because I wasn't allowed to have outside counsel by my president.
I didn't deny you outside counsel. I just said we're not bringing them to here. I would think it'd be more appropriate if you really feel like we need outside counsel.
Sir, when I first was elected and I asked this question, you told me that Carrie Galatis was our counsel and I didn't have any outside counsel.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Did I said that, and you could
Yes.
generate that.
There's a very good possibility I put it in an email.
Yeah. What was my email?
I'd have to go back and look, but you did tell me that.
Actually, I did not. What I told you was we don't need outside counsel at this meeting. That is what I said. I didn't elaborate anything about you can't. And all
Remember
the
when you
other
just
stuff.
told me you weren't done talking? I wasn't done talking.
Finish your statement.
So,
Although I was still talking.
okay, go right ahead
Yeah,
then. You asked me and I answered and then
Yes.
I was
Right.
at that point.
But I guess my question is the person that wrote this expecting payment from the district
No.
for their services? So
No.
they wrote it without any
Pro bono.
expectations? And they wrote it in for you, Trustee Nelson, and also
The three of them, yes.
Trustee Duncan?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. And then the one thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to the shack was the only thing that I would like to change within the bylaws is a clearer presentation of their goals for the year, as well as what it is they're requesting. So if they're requesting information on students having disciplinary issues, what is it exactly that they're looking for versus asking a general blanket question without any real idea of what we're looking for? And so I would just like more clarity, more transparency on that so that the district knows and can get that information versus just blanket information without knowing the direction. So that's
Yeah.
all. Thank you.
I think it would be nice to have the goals and objectives, which for the most part are mandated, right? And then tied to that, the data requests, right? Like what kind of data do you need to be able to meet those goals and objectives?
That's it.
And then the only thing I would add, I think it's a good idea to have defined how this data request flows, right? So that
Exactly.
we're not,
Yes.
Going
Inundating
off
people.
the hip to everyone, like it is really, like maybe one point of contact, then can take that and disperse it. I also think it's important because honestly, like I haven't even heard from the shack up until like the cell phone policy. So I think it would be good also to somehow formalize, how are we getting informed from the shack? Like, it has like a designated contact, right? But who is that? Like, is it the one co-chair? Is it the other co-chair? Like, how are we how are we understanding like what they're doing, right? I think I would like some formality, specificity, whatever you want to insert there.
Are the meetings online?
Yes.
But the committee meeting.
The subcommittees are not, though. The subcommittees are not.
output.
But in the last meeting, in answer to that about subcommittees and so forth, the SHAC, when they last met, they did make a discussion about doing a synopsis of each meeting or key points or however that is for the, to be distributed amongst the SHAC, so they could easily do that as well. And your comment about communication to the board is in us being, if we're not able to go or whatever, while they're online. The one thing I will point out is that in January, I'm almost certain it was January of 2023, the SHAC did ask for a liaison from the board, someone from the board to be a liaison that could be informed and share with the other board members information that was going on. So I will say that was
Did I appoint somebody to that?
Yes, you did. You appointed. You said my appointment would be an employee of the district.
Dr. Upshaw?
Yes.
So what's the problem?
That's not a board liaison.
That
would be like
She reports to the board.
that'd be like the people that are on the finance committee,
comes
the
up to the
people that are
meeting and
on
she
the
reports to the
safety
board.
committee. I mean, it would be someone that is sitting in and a liaison.
Anybody can be a liaison.
Anybody can
to
be
the
a
board.
liaison. I did it.
I don't know where we get that one from.
I don't know either, but I will tell you that.
So let's wrap this thing up. From what I understand is you got a problem with the bylaws.
I do.
Ms. Gladys, you got some issues with the bylaws. Why don't you redact the bylaws? How long are the bylaws? How many pages is it?
Oh my gosh, they're like 9 or 10
Why don't you
pages.
redact it with the committee and make sure it's something that we can digest, is palatable to the board, get it down to 5, right? You can simplify it. I don't see why a committee that's advising the board needs 25 pages of bylaws. Get it down to 5. Work with the committee to do that. Bring it back to us. Make sure you're accepting it, and you want us to sign off on it, and we move forward. So I make that as a motion.
I would.
There's no motion.
There's no motion, but I
Okay.
would make a suggestion that we table this discussion until we hear back from the Attorney General with the
Nah,
clarification.
no dice. Just because y'all throw something down and say the
Yeah,
Attorney General and start throwing
absolutely
legal
not.
jargon around and saying y'all legal experts, that don't move the needle. Don't move it at all.
Yeah.
So the School Health Advisory Council guideline for
don't
the
need
state
any more legal
of
stuff.
Texas is 48 pages long,
Well, good for
so.
them, but I don't need.
I'm just
40
saying
for
our 8
SHAC
or
committee.
9
You don't
pages
speak
isn't
for the
that
whole
long.
board.
I said aye.
He said he. I'll also say that, Misty, you sent me that email on March 8th on a Friday. Yesterday, I responded back. Misty, thank you for your concern. We will not have outside counsel for this discussion item on Tuesday night. That was it. That's all I said.
I was referring to the January email that Dr. Spear emailed you regarding the bylaw discussions that were underway and that they were updating them. And she also asked for a liaison, if the board would appoint a liaison.
Ma'am, you were actually, you actually said I denied you all kinds of stuff. I didn't deny you anything. Okay, so please don't mince words on me.
That's fine.
All right.
So look, I'm requesting a document that you co-sign that can be presented to the board for us to review and potentially vote on. I'm not posing that as a.
I'm fine with that.
A vote
I'm
item or
100% fine with
anything.
that.
I'm saying that's what I'm requesting.
Is that,
Dr. Noel, that's what I'm requesting of Ms. Gladys. See how that works?
No, it
That's
would've-
all.
You could have made effect, go ahead.
Further
Move on.
to Mr. Williams' request, could you please also incorporate Teresa and my feedback on the info request and the transparency on goals and objectives and how that ties to the data being requested and how that request should make it from the SHAC into the district?
Just to be clear,
Can I just point out-
for her to work with you guys and these guys and make sure it's something that she signs off on. So
Yeah,
she's
I've
going to send us an email.
So for the record, I would like to say, you all just voted to approve a policy that does exactly what you're asking. In the consent agenda of tonight's meeting, you could have
Nobody understands what
Yeah,
Did y'all
with all
read
due
this?
respect,
Not a
I
clue.
don't.
Not a
Did
clue.
y'all don't read what's in the consent agenda?
No,
Of course.
So to my point,
Let's keep it moving.
we're making uninformed decisions.
We're
We've been doing
not,
it for
we're
a
not
while,
talking
and it's
about
very
that. We're
successful.
talking about the bylaws for the shack. That's what we're talking about.
Ms. Chase, this is the policy, EHAA local, that our board just approved. That would, you could make your changes in here to do exactly what you're trying to do. And
Go ahead.
EHAA local is about the required instructional levels for students in schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Shack.
no, it outlines how we
Pointing
receive
that out.
recommendations from the shack.
It talks about human sexuality and the permission the parents have to give to receive that instruction.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That comes
But
from
that's
the
not
shack.
Shack.
But
You
it's,
don't
it's just
understand
one little
it's not
piece of
Shack.
that.
So
It's
what
not-
policy are y'all asking Ms. Gladys to revise?
We're
Please tell
talking
me.
specifically about the shack bylaws.
The
We
bylaws,
don't have a
that's it.
policy about
That's
the
it.
bylaws.
It's not
The
about
procedure.
policy.
It's not a policy.
It's
It's
not about
procedural. We don't do
policy.
procedures, guys.
Oh,
Actually, we 100%, we set policies and
Are
procedures.
you
and-
telling me you don't trust Dr. Knoll?
I'm not
See
sure
how
where you're going
uninformed
with
we are?
this. I really am lost in your conversation. All I'm saying is we need,
let's go ahead,
I
go on,
agree
man.
with what you're saying. We just need to wrangle in the bylaws for the Shack committee. I want their input. I want the Shack's input on this, but there are some things that are happening in the Shack meetings that are affecting the actual Shack committee and things that are happening. And I believe that we have the purview, and I spoke to the outside counsel, and I apologize if I misspoke about you having access, Ms. Oldenwiller. You don't have access, but I do, and I talked to our outside counsel, and our outside counsel said 100% you are well within your purview to set the bylaws for a committee that provides you with advice and counsel. So all I'm saying is let's put together a better Shack bylaws, and I appreciate your recommendation to say, work with us, put something together, obviously include the liaisons and the committee chairs for the Shack, because we definitely want their input on this. They did a lot of work, and we want to get their input and make sure that the work continues to move forward. However, wrangle this in.
Agreed.
That's all I'm asking.
I
Let's
have
put
one
it to bed,
request.
sir.
Ms. Gladys, will you please report back to us how many hours you spend on this task?
I will.
It'll be far less than what they're
No more
asking
than
these
these-
other people to
these
do. I
people are
promise
putting
you
folks
that.
through.
Promise you that.
President Huber, I just want to say, like, there's obviously some very strong feelings
100%.
about the shack, which I don't necessarily understand. I think the attitude and the theatrics doesn't help with us getting to.
I agree.
So why do you bring it? Like, why are you
I
showing
didn't
up
bring
with it?
He had an attitude with me
Anyway,
hours
not
ago.
helpful, not helpful. I
Moving
think
on.
we would be best served to take the feelings out of this.
I tried my best.
Right, and try to get to a resolution. So thank you, Ms.
Very
Gladys,
good.
for
Moving
working on
on, we have
this.
executive session.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
Okay, the board will go into closed session pursuant to section 551071, 551072, and 551074 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Any action, vote, or discussion of the board will, with regard to any matter discussion in closed session, will be made when the board returns to open session. The time is 9:34.
Second.
All right.